Okay, we are live. It's the Sunday floating comics chat. It's floated back to my channel.
Yes.
And what we do here is just talk about anything we've read during the week or recently that we feel like it. We just go around the circle, take turns, totally informal. So I say that because it seems like every once in a while I get new people coming in and they don't quite know what we're doing here.
We need to repeat ourselves.
And we try to respond to the chat, but we don't always get a chance because we're in the midst of our own conversation. So you're really listening in on our live conversation. Although Miss So is here. She's one of our favorite regulars. Good to see you. And we'll see if some other people come in. But greetings. To my left is LahRasa with her new sunscreen or sun tone colors.
Thanks for pointing that out. That's not obvious enough already, but yeah, there you go. I'm gonna go red here and white there.
We're talking about her farmer's tan before we went live, so sorry about that. I thought it was a feature.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll create a new trend.
Yeah.
And below us, who knows what kind of tan lines he has, is Terrence ComicKkrakk.
Hello. No tan lines. Tanned all the way from head to toe.
Oh, yay.
Oh, you spray tan.
Oh, natural.
Yes, exactly. Spray tan, yes.
Oh, I was just watching the Netflix, the whole of comedians. They put in the comedians in thing. Hello, comic book. So, and Dave Chappelle was talking about spray tan. That's why I mentioned it. Because like he says like, so do you do your butt and your pee?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, just leave it white. It's all perfectly fine. Nobody needs to see that. So it's funny. It was kind of interesting to watch because Robin Williams has been and always will be my favorite comedian and / actor. And I was like kind of tearing it up because knowing how he went, it just makes me sad every single time I hear somebody talk about it. The genius of that man's, and they were showing this the best couple of things he done. So how a Scottish man invented golf, and how you pleasure a woman with his hairy elbow. Yes, Robin Williams used to be so hairy, so he has this, and he was like, it looked up, and it's like for like 10 minutes, and it's like, oh my god, you guys have not seen that? That is hilarious.
I haven't seen that one.
You should check the Robin Williams and elbow. I think that would just come up straight away, to be honest, because it's the most. You should see it because he sweats like when he's performing stand up. So that's just like it adds up to the whole scene. Honestly, the best guy, such a talent.
Yeah, totally.
Terrence, your background has been appreciated.
Yeah, camera's just facing the other way there, Miss. So back when this used to be comic racks and stuff. Yeah, facing the corner.
Just a new angle on the already brilliant decor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. In my little corner.
Well, I'm getting a bit excited about this new Frank Miller line of comics.
Oh no!
Oh yeah,
because he's supposedly going to do a comic with Milo Manara.
Oh,
nice.
Wow.
And
I
that's
hadn't heard that.
Very intriguing. And so he's going to do. I forget what the comic with Milo Manara was going to be. And then he's going to do a new Sin City comic that he draws himself, and he's going to do what's his famous samurai comic?
The Ronin.
Is it
isn't that what it is?
Yeah. He's going to do a follow-up to Ronin in which he does the layouts, and another artist, Tan, I forget Tan's first name, is going to do the full art. Which
That's
I'm
cool.
less excited by that, but But Miller and Manara together, I mean, it's not an obvious pairing, but I'm very curious.
Not at all.
And at least that means they're not just hiring all the usual people.
You're talking about DC, yeah? He's coming back to DC to work, yes?
No, he and Dan DiDio are forming their own company.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Called like Frank Miller Presents or something like that. It's not a great title for a company, but I guess it's the selling point. It's all stuff picked out by Frank Miller. And that's just what they've announced so far. And I do think Dan DiDio is good at promoting comics and getting stuff out there. And Frank Miller, sometimes I'm thinking he doesn't have it anymore, but then I'm thinking maybe something more good could come out of it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on the pairing, right? Like who he's with and what they can maybe bring to it that overcomes some of maybe his shortcomings, maybe that he has now these days. I don't know.
And maybe if he can pick out other people who are odder and quirky in the American scene and bring them a little more notoriety, that might be good. But we'll see if they chose to go that way.
As long as Didio doesn't edit in the comics, so then you can be okay with that. I think that would be fine, but it depends what kind of role Didio is.
I think he's more the publisher, so he'll be in charge of the business and the promotion. But I haven't looked real closely at it. I've just heard people talking about it.
Yeah.
Anything like sexy, according to Werewolf by Lunchtime, and he is an expert.
Werewolf, hello.
Hello.
I know Werewolf is in Australia, so it must be late at night there or early in the morning. I'm not sure which.
It's probably early. It's probably next day. It's Mondays already. It's on Mondays hours.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah.
And so as a question, I'd like to know how the three of you know about the She-Hulk trailer. I have not watched the trailer. Have either of you watched the She-Hulk?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, okay, go on.
I watched it. I hope that that's a preliminary look and things will look a little bit different when it comes out. I'm definitely going to watch it. There's no doubt about it. But I wasn't crazy about the look of She-Hulk when she kind of transforms and stuff. But whatever. I mean, it's going to be one of those things that maybe it'll be different. Like, it's hard to tell sometimes with these trailers that they do where they do kind of like teasers where they maybe inject some things that aren't necessarily part of the story or only show you a certain segment of it and almost not misrepresent it, but not spoil the full focus or the scope of the show, right? But nothing, it didn't blow me away.
Is it a show or
we'll absolutely watch it. It's a show. It's going to be a show, yeah.
And does it look like it'll have a comedic angle or more serious?
It looks like it'll have some comedic stuff for sure. Yeah, there was a couple of things in there that looked a little more comedic. But again, it's super tough to tell from a trailer.
So she formed from she transformed like a Hulk does? Is that what they did? Okay,
correct,
so they're not doing the permanent angle then. Interesting.
But the Hulk version of her looks really CG and doesn't look very big. Especially her standing side by side with Hulk. Doesn't mean she has to be exactly like Hulk. No, not at all. But I thought that she would be bigger, and then the CG just looked really. I don't know. It didn't look the greatest. But again, this could be something that they're putting out there because they don't want to spoil like the actual look. You know what I mean? That's one of the rumors that I've heard out there anyway. So.
Okay, because I heard about. I didn't look the trailer because I kind of like everybody was talking on Twitter, especially. That's where my all the things I feed coming through. But I'm never trailer person either because I don't. Especially, I really like the character. So for me, is the character more important to see how they're going to portray her. But if they're not going to get the sheer size of her because that's the whole surprise part of her as a lawyer being 6 foot, or not 6 foot, like it's 8 foot, some female giant at the end of the day when she transforms. Kind of would be sad if they will get that wrong because it's not saying that it's just the way they see her as a Hulk part, kind of thing. But she's permanently big, green, and like monstrosity of the person because of where her conditions are. Anyway, but it's that's why I didn't watch it because I was thinking, it's going to probably spoil it. And there, like what I've read, people like not telling. I saw a picture, just a still, like as a She-Hulk, she looks great, long hair. Yeah. She looks great, but maybe if that stature doesn't portray her sheer like Hulkness, it's kind of weird because you have to get that right. At the end of the day, she's She-Hulk. Totally. Everybody knows the Hulk. If you don't introduce the She-Hulk part really well, it's going to be kind of like a already misstep on that point. So,
absolutely.
Wow,
I spelled snoozy wrong.
Snoozy.
I'm not sure what he means.
That's right.
I think in your name, Sleepy.
Sleepy.
Okay. It's supposed to be snoozy.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, our fellows thoughts. Wowzers.
Wowzers.
So I haven't heard lately if Travis's foot recovered. But
He
that's
said
a whole nother
he had a couple. He went downstairs, as far as the Twitter said, or he said on Twitter. Yeah, news flash.
Travis
He did downstairs to order books.
Travis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Get you back in the YouTube groove.
Oh, I can't walk to get food, but to order comic books, no problem.
Yeah. Hey, man, priorities.
Yeah, and we all know us comic books people like comics first, others later.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that comment, but honestly, at this stage of the game, 2022, Marvel owned by Disney, I don't buy it. Like, you guys got the money.
Yeah.
You're making the money on the show. Put the money into the shows. You know what I mean? Like, I do expect, if it's like just some no-name off-brand sort of show with some CG, that's fine. But it's not like they don't have the money behind them. So I don't personally buy that as a reason to let them off the hook. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yes, comics over everything. Absolutely.
Yeah, we agree for sure.
So I guess his foot's not all better, but maybe he can fake it enough to join our show someday.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Well, the only comic book related TV I watched was a couple of episodes of the old Justice League from the 90s or early 2000s TV show.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And it was much better than I remembered. And in the opening 3 episodes, that's kind of the secret origin of the Justice League, where they fight these aliens. The design of the aliens is just like the aliens in the recently wrapped up Robert Kirkman comic book, Oblivion Song.
Oh, really? Hey,
so
yeah.
I thought that artist was so original, and now I realize he took his designs from this old cartoon. The designs were really awesome in the cartoon for these sort of shifting weird aliens, but that's where Oblivion Song came in. It's a big shock for me.
Oh no, you could just point that out now to everybody. You can't hide it. You can't hide it. Somebody will know. That's these days of the world, eh? Media.
Well, it just goes to show there's always influences on something, even if you don't know what those influences are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, you know what? If you can reuse it and use it in the right fashion, in the same vein, why the hell not? You know?
Right.
It's fine. It's comics in the comics. So.
And I mean, honestly, I think a lot of that stuff becomes subliminal. I honestly don't think people the majority of people consciously do it. It's just there's some shorthand that's in the culture there that you just get infused with, and it comes out in just a little bit of a different way, right?
And that just appeared in a short while in an animated show, and then he took it and created a whole alien world out of it. So that's cool. But it was a surprise to me to see that.
Right. Yeah. This looks familiar.
Yeah.
But so I guess I'm getting a little more modern than Adam West Batman now.
Well,
I'm going from 60s to late 90s.
You're jumping a couple of decades. Well, that's good. We finished watching Moon Knight last night. Hold on one second here. We just binged the rest of the episodes.
And
man, now I'm totally forgetting his name because of course it's Sunday and we're talking. He is he's a phenomenal actor. Like, he stole that show that all of us, like me, my wife, my son, we were all just completely blown away by his performance. Really, it was a super fun show. Like, I thought it was a lot of fun. They did a lot of good things with it. As usual, it's one of those things that we were talking about it at the end of episode 5. I'm like, okay, end, perfect, done.
Yeah.
But of course you can't do that. You have to wrap it up. You have to tie it in, all that. And I get all that. But up to that point, it was just really, I just really hope that eventually they can do something, because they have some unique storytelling going on. I hope that they can figure out how to tie that into the superhero side a little more smoothly, because it's a little bit jarring still. Because I think it works. It's one of my favorites, I would say, of the TV shows. It's right up there for me. I really, really loved it. Very unique, pretty interesting. And again, like on the CG thing, there was parts of the CG that I wasn't too crazy about, where it looked real, like this is in front of a green screen type of thing. And again, it's hard to give them a pass on that sort of stuff. But the story and his performance is totally top notch. He's a hell of an actor, man.
Yeah. No wonder he's been but like Marvel and or / Disney doesn't want to let him go anywhere, because he's in Star Wars, he's in there, now he's there, you know, he makes movies. But they say, well, as far as there's talk or whatever, people or media or whatever, they're saying that no 2 episode or season 2 for Moon Knight anyway. He's not going to come back. This is it.
Oh, really?
As far as I like whatever you see on the web, let's say this way. I'm not sure if it's his confirmation at all.
Yeah.
But as far as what they're saying, that they never intended to have season 2 anyway. Right.
Well, he's also listed as the executive producer on it as well too. So that's surprising if they did it again and he didn't come back. Yeah, and that's something else we were talking about there, Miss So, like how it's so amazing that 2 people can watch the exact same thing and have absolutely like worlds apart different views on it, right? Like we absolutely loved it. And it's the same, like we didn't like Eternals at all, and I know there's some people who loved it. And it's just one of those things you can't help it. Everybody's tastes and experiences are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I liked it as well. I mean, for me, it's one of the best because of him, like you say as well. I completely concur. Like, if he's not for him, but that's the thing. That's basically he's the one who basically pushed that to the point of like, I want to make this. You know, like he got a chance and he wanted, because I guess it's great for the actor to show your skills. Because that one had to have shitloads of, because of your split personality thing, and that's not easy to just one also accents, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's commenting about Moon Knight in the background. He didn't.
No, my kid.
Yeah.
He's like
committed to it.
Yeah, he's
committed to it as well. Like he really just threw himself in there. And the other thing that we were thinking about was this idea of, I love the idea of kind of exploring other cultures, mythology, to kind of create these superhero stories. I thought they did that really well too. And I'm sure that if you're really into the Egyptian history and stuff, I'm sure there were some nuggets in there that went over our heads anyway. But it really reminded me of like that, just all of that stuff that we love in comics, like the Norse mythology thing, how it's so nicely done to kind of represent these stories. And that always seems to be the area that gets kind of dug up for superheroes and things. But it's a nice idea to explore different places in the world, go into their mythology, go into their history and religions and stuff, and pull out some stories there. Like, I really feel like they're on to something. I don't know if these shows will ever start creating new characters and kind of leave some of the comics behind, but I would love to see that vein explored a little more.
They're saying that in the comics or a TV show or that kind of format to teach kids history is really good, because you intend them to put their favorite heroes in situations where actually natural things had happened in history, and you're like, it's done already. There's plenty of information to use it. Why not just place them in there? Of course, also people will be frowning upon that, but don't forget, we are talking about comic medium or medium to teach kids, not something taking it overly serious. Because, you know, like when you start talking about history, how dare you making changes into history books kind of thing, because you never know who's going to think that kind of sense. But it's a great way to make you curious to know, like, Egyptians and stuff like that, if you weren't really familiar with that kind of sense of all the gods, you know, all those beliefs and stuff like that. And like look at how Thor and Vikings has encouraged people to learn a bit more about that because of those crazy shows, you know, people I've been following around. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
My kid does not want to go sleep. It's way too bright.
Yeah.
We're having a difficulty now because of that. And he's like,
it's weird, man. It's so weird.
It's proper wailing now. It's the first time. He's having way too much good time lately. And that's what happens when you have to like, oh yeah, now it's time to cool down and go to bed. It's not the easiest part.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I do apologize for the background noises. I can't tell him to shut up.
Yeah.
In my daughter's room, we still have two layers of curtains and then blankets that we pin up against the windows.
Don't worry. We already on the thought of having like a blackout blinds. To be honest, it's really time to do that. They do that because it's becoming a little bit troublesome, especially when your kid wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning just because the sun is out. So and then you have like 2 hours before he's preschool, and then 3 hours before preschool, and tell him go to preschool, and he gets like, by the time he finishes preschool, he's absolutely knackered. So it's becoming a troublesome thing. But yeah, we are on looking to do that, but it's not always things happen like the way you want it. Especially when you cancel a lot of things like Amazon and shit like that. Like that's the prime source where you just think about something if you want to get it, and it's there the next day on your doorstep. It's very convenient, and it's a great way of making you spend a lot of cash. But when you start canceling stuff like that, it becomes like, oh yeah, I have to think about going to the shop and all that bullshit. Anyway, mom's problems.
Wording and neutral eBay feedback. That's tricky.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, hello, Tommy.
Yeah.
From Finland.
Yes.
So shall we dive into the comics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You said you have read a lot this week, Terrence.
Yeah, we're gonna get
I read a boatload this week. Yeah, it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you this one. This so in my Vertigo Comics kind of haul that I got recently, found a whole bunch of issues for dirt cheap. This is, unfortunately, I only found the one issue of this, issue 3 of 4, the Sandman, the Dream Hunters.
Oh.
So Neil Gaiman and P. Craig Russell. This is gorgeous, gorgeous work. I've already messaged a couple of the shops around town to see if they have the other issues.
Mm-hmm.
There's one of the things that drew me to it the most was it looks, I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but there seems to be almost like this, when you're doing felting where they do it with the pins and stuff, and that felt gets that texture. That's what it looks like, the backgrounds. It looks like he's kind of painted on top of this felt. It almost looks like you can touch the page and feel that texture. Yeah, I really don't know if it's going to show up on the camera, but
no, I don't think
really, really
it
amazing
still looks
stuff.
Beautiful, but yeah, I can't.
It's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. So I mean, in that kind of like Norse mythology realm, like this really fits nicely in that, and also that Jim Henson Storyteller, because it has this almost one-off type of feel to it, right? Even this one issue was kind of entertaining. I felt like I could follow the story for the most part. I know that there's a lot that I'm missing, but
which issue is that?
This is number 3 of 4.
Oh, okay. So you're really coming
and
in.
It's from
the story.
Yeah, and from something called the Dream Hunters is what it's called.
Right.
I don't know if Travis is still in the room, but I'm sure he knows about this one. Like, look at these pages here.
Yeah.
Really, just beautiful.
Yeah, I missed this one.
Yeah, me too.
It's not one I've heard of either. Go ahead, Rasa.
No, I said that I missed that completely. I didn't even know that they were still doing something extra.
It's P. Craig Russell art, Andrew. I guess on a mini series, maybe they did this after the end of Sandman or in the middle of Sandman. I don't know.
Yeah, let's see the date on here. It says in the small print, which I can't really read. I don't see a date. And then on the front or back, yeah. Oh, look at that. 2009 is when it came out.
Oh, so well after
2009
Sandman
it says
was
on the
done.
back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, reading this, reading this was like more just such a treat to slowly flip through. I think once I had done it, I went back and kind of flipped through it again, and I flipped through it a couple of times since. Really gorgeous. And again, he's just one of those artists that I've appreciate more and more. The more stuff that I see, the more I just really love. And this just had a real, like I said, just really fit in that pocket of stories that have really worked for me over recent years. Because, I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of us that are big fans of Norse mythology, and I really feel like the storytelling falls into that. Oops, sorry, losing my...
We were still able to hear you, but the tone of your voice changed as the microphone moved.
There we go. As it fell, yeah, there you go. I'm trying out these headphones. I hate headphones. So we'll see if it'll work. Yeah, so not much else to say about it other than nowhere in the city so far have I been able to find the rest of these issues. So I might have to look for it online, I think. So, but yeah, well worth looking for. Okay. Well worth hunting for.
I bought all the absolutes of Sandman, but I haven't started reading them yet. I wonder if it's in there somewhere. Or
yeah, maybe it is. Hey, yeah,
it should be collected if it's on.
I hope so, but I don't know when the absolutes originally were put together.
Yeah, that's all depends on that, if it's gonna be in the dates, because if sometimes they add up extras, just because new release, there you go, it's just extras added for you, so just spend another couple of £100 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's intimidating to have 5 absolutes to read. That's just why I keep putting it off. It's like,
right.
I need to just tell myself you can just read a few issues at a time. It's not a requirement to read them all.
Yeah.
Which I'll be showing you throughout this chat what I was been doing. Because you know what? It's too much sometimes.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I buy all these hardbacks that I love, and then mostly during the week read floppies anyway.
Yeah.
It's less intimidating.
Yeah, it's for sure. Oh, howdy.
Hello, that comic book girl.
Popping to say quick.
So are you up for doing one next, Rasa, or are you
I'm good.
needing to tend to your son?
No, that's why the husband is there, okay?
He's in control.
One day a week, please. I can't do this the whole time. Anyway, I got this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I said, like, last time we chat, you showed you were getting, and I really wanted to get it, and it was a laugh. And honestly, a star of this comic book is the art, and I definitely thought that it was Daniel Warren Johnson, because it just looks very similar, absolutely. And it's Juan Gideon, so it's splendid and it's hilarious, and also it is already have, like you were saying and mentioning prior to that, it's been told. We know what's Batman, who's hunting, but it's just the way the kick out of I have, because maybe I am just a fan of this villain, which I'm gonna just there. This is the funniest little thing. The minute I was like Black Mantisaurus, and it's like Aquaman is like helping his friend, the dolphin, and he's like saying, "Oh, Matilda." I was like, I could not stop laughing after that. It's funny and it's fine. I honestly, I think it's really not necessary, for sure. I don't think these days, for like especially the seasoned comic readers, but it's a good laugh, and I'm really happy they created it, to be honest. And I'm definitely going to look forward to give this to my son when he's going to be of age, because I think he absolutely loves his dinosaurs, and this will be a firm favorite, I think, of his, and especially the Superman and his good nature. Yeah, it's just crazy. But yeah, so far this issue is this okay. I'm not sure if I'm gonna continue getting all this 6 issues, because I know it's much easier and cheaper to get a collected edition.
Right.
I just wanted to have a feel of this comic book in the flip the format, because the art is just beautiful to look at, and then I just really like the action. It's very busy all the time. This is what you want, like this kind of scene of hanging the previous God of War, in hanging there. It's just, I don't know, I'm thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just been one of those DC comic books which I don't really tend to get that much at all in the flop format, especially. But this is like one of the occasions I probably would definitely just want to have an issue number 1, and then see how you are guys who's reading flop is for DC part, and let's see if I wanted to have a collected edition, because it's really fun. It's just such a light-hearted comic book, which I sometimes absolutely need and love reading, because they don't take themselves serious, and that's the whole point. And you don't get that like mixed messages of how serious they can be or something like that, which is kind of refreshing to see that from DC, because of everything so grim and dull sometimes, because it's so serious. Everybody's taking so seriously about everything else. So it's nice. It's lighthearted and it's absolutely fun, and it just gives me a laugh, which is what I sometimes need.
I wished I had a 7 or 8 year old to read it with. I think that's the perfect age for it, probably.
Yeah. And I'm looking, in a couple of years, hopefully I'll, my son will be at all interested in comic books, which is so far I'm doing quite a good job with action figures. So the Batman thing I got him, and he absolutely loves it. So he sees actually now Batman, like somebody play with like action figures, and now he does the same thing. So he has Batman and Joker. And it's opposite. Joker is beating the Batman up. I was like, "Whoa! Look at it, taking sides already." It's so funny. But anyway, in the light-hearted way, by the way, not in the cruel way. I'm not teaching cruel to my child. First of all, we all see kids animated shows, and I think he will absolutely love the Batman animated series, or when he turns to the right age, of course, because now it's just he doesn't have attention span for that kind of stuff. So
Tomi very nicely put in a link for the latest architectural foam panels video, which I'm glad he did, because I didn't realize there was a new one.
Oh, it's a great one. It's like a trailer for loading the cannon for Collins stuff on Tom Perkish.
Cool.
It's fantastic. Yeah,
I'll have to watch it. Yeah, I just miss too many videos.
Sometimes
I'll discover that I missed a Gore Vidal video like from a month ago or something. I don't know how I missed it, but I subscribe to too many channels, I guess.
Yeah.
So I much appreciate links to highlight videos. So I guess it's my turn then. Well, kind of. I think I read 2 issues of Thor, the most recent one, and a really old Journey into Mystery that I bought from someone on Instagram.
Nice.
Or very specifically from Comics on the Mind on Instagram. Got a very good deal on it.
Nice. Magic stuff.
And I had love-hate feelings for both of them.
Whoosh.
So this is in the middle of this crossover between Thor, this current issue number 25, Legacy number 751.
Of course, those legacy numbers.
Could there really be 751 issues of Thor total?
If you take Journey into Mystery, you probably would. No?
Maybe.
Because don't forget the
So this is issue 106, and he started on issue 86 of Journey into Mystery.
Yeah. I don't know if 700, though. That's a big number.
I don't know how they come up with those numbers. But anyway, it's not important. And this is a big crossover where Thor and the Hulk are having a big battle. Both of them written by Donny Cates.
Yeah.
And this is a really intense cover by Gary Frank.
Very good.
And I wish they had Gary Frank doing the art on the inside. It's just, I've never heard of Martin Cuccolo. I'm sure he's doing a perfectly fine professional job, but it just has no impact for me. And it kind of leaves everything up to the colorist. Who tries hard to make the panels interesting when they're just these kind of bland faces.
It's the coloring it looks like dolls.
Yeah.
And that's I have an issue on that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think the colorist is trying, but maybe not succeeding to kind of make up for the lack of any detail in the art. It's Matthew Wilson, who is a good colorist. The only time this artist sort of gets exciting is when he's drawing Odin.
Oh yeah, look at that. Completely different.
So Odin and this could be a lot of fun, but I think my take on Donny Cates at this point is that he throws out these big crazy ideas and then he hopes the artist can do a good job with it. And that he doesn't have his plots and ideas don't go deep. They're just, hey, something big's happening, something crazy's happening. And let's see.
Maybe artist doesn't have enough time to portray his big things what he wants to do on the comic book page, because it takes time.
The artist might be in a rush,
Yeah.
might be kind of low paid by Marvel, but yeah, deadlines are crazy.
Yeah.
You know, with these big events. Yeah, that was Odin on the cover too. Yeah, interesting take on Odin. It almost looks like Neil Adams drew him or something. So, hi Mars. Let's see. I'm not sure what Marcus is mentioning. Kid Loki.
First appearance of Kid Loki was
Thor 617. So it sounds right. Okay, so maybe they really have done 750 odd issues. Anyway, so it's kind of a fun, crazy idea that Thor and Hulk are fighting in the physical world, and Odin, who's now a spirit inside Thor's hammer, is fighting inside the Hulk's brain with the mental version of Bruce Banner. But it just is, it's just not that exciting in the fight, the actual fighting inside the brain or outside the brain.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the main thing I wanted to say about this was really the art and that feeling of sort of now feeling like I know Donny Cates' thing, where he just throws out these crazy ideas.
Yeah.
I don't think you can just, even if you're really strong, I don't think you can just rip someone's forearm off their arm. But anyway, who am I to complain? As long as there's blood, it's good, right?
That's right. Yeah, as long as they're gore.
And then there's this odd backup by Ron Frenz and Tom DeFalco. Ron Frenz on the art, Tom DeFalco, the same colorist, Matt Wilson. And it seems to be just this random old moment in the history of the Enchantress, where she's just going to meet Odin and talk about how she's misbehaved and stuff. But I think they say what issues it takes place during. Well, it says see a Thor epic collection of War of the Pantheons. But so I don't know if they put this in to advertise that or what. But it's really weird to then see these guys worked on Thor in the early 90s, I think, and they brought it back to kind of a Jack Kirby, Stan Lee kind of feel. And it's such a strange, Thor's not in it, but Odin and the Enchantress are. And I would, if I had my druthers, I would rather they went back to this artwork than what they had before. Although there's lots of modern artwork I do like.
Yeah.
But it looks cool, just jazzed up a little bit with modern coloring, but not too much. Like I really like this panel here. I mean, I think you can work with the broader range of colors, but work them into a more old-fashioned look. So anyway, that was mildly interesting. But then more interesting was this final special thing at the back. Also, they could charge us more money for this 25th issue.
Oh, wow.
This, let me see. I've never heard of these people. Nadia Sumas wrote it, and Simone D'Armini drew it. And it's a retelling of a Norse myth. But do you remember in the Norse, have you guys been reading all of Norse mythology? I think you have, Terrence. I'm not.
Yep.
I'm not.
There was a story a while ago where they had to marry a giant wanted to marry one of the goddesses, and they dressed up Thor.
That's
this
right.
is that same story. And it's told really well, but instead of whatever goddess he wanted to marry, they make it Angela, who is that character from Neil Gaiman that they've stuck into the Thor mythos.
Right.
But I really liked this art. So this is
it looks much better.
A very stylized art, but not an old-fashioned Marvel style art. But it's sort of cool how these when they just go back to the myths, it just works really well.
Yeah.
Because there's so much humor in these Norse myths.
Yeah, there really is. Yeah.
So anyway, there are these hilarious images of Thor with the veil on.
Drinking. Yeah.
And they're saying, hurry up, we want to get married. Because they want to get a hold of the hammer. Because the giant has the hammer. He's blackmailed them into this marriage by the hammer. So that was a lot of fun. And it's kind of, I don't think they plan to tie this one into anything going on.
Mhm.
So and then I had this old journey into mystery, and it was kind of an example to me of, even with Jack Kirby on it, sometimes these old Marvel comics can be pretty boring. It's just a fight between Thor and the Cobra and Mr. Hyde.
Mhm.
And they have a special machine that sucked in Thor's hammer.
Ah!
So he's got to
Hoover.
find a way. He runs into the crowd so no one will notice him turning into Bruce Banner. There he is there. Not
Mhm.
Bruce Banner, into Donald Blake. There he is there
Mhm.
behind people. And so no one notices the little flash of lightning as he turns to Donald Blake. And then he, as Donald Blake, convinces them to get, he says, hey, I'll help you get Thor if you just get my walking stick out of your machine. So it's as stupid as an old DC comic, really.
Uh-huh.
Right.
But my takeaway from this is I love Chick Stone's inking on. He's not an inker people talk a lot about on Jack Kirby, but I think he does a really good job of
Yeah, it looks great.
creating this. He's got these big, thick lines,
Right.
and he just gives it. I think it's a very good style for the old-fashioned printing.
Yeah.
And it just gives it a very bold, comic booky kind of look.
Right.
So I was really bored with his story. I kind of started skimming it,
Oh.
and he has like the typical fight, and it just looks really nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But there's not much going on. But there is a Tales of Asgard,
Oh, cool.
which was a telling of the myth of Balder that I'd never seen before.
Cool.
At least, I mean, it's the same idea, but in this, they've been in a big battle, and Balder didn't join in the battle because he'd wandered off to help save a bird that was injured. And Odin's really mad at him and says, I'm going to punish you, and you're going to be executed. And they
Oh.
bring him to the execution fields,
Oh no.
and Odin orders different people to try to kill him. With a bow and arrow, a hawk comes along and grabs the arrow before it strikes Balder. And then someone throws a spear at Balder, and plants grow up and stop the spear.
Jeez.
And then he's about to have Thor throw his hammer. And then Odin says, okay, you can hold off. We don't have to try and kill him anymore. And then Odin reveals that he himself asked every plant and animal in the world to protect Balder. But in all the versions I've seen before, it's just that these things bounce off of Balder. Instead, it's like different things in nature come and save Balder. And also, I don't think it was Odin who did it in the other versions I read. It was like Balder's mother or something like that.
Right.
And this art looks complete. It's still Jack Kirby, but it's inked by
Vince Coletta.
Vince Coletta, who is considered the worst inker, but he actually is good he gives things kind of an etched look. And I actually kind of like his inking. I do look at occasionally at scenes and imagine, oh, there was probably detail on the wall here that Jack Kirby put in that Coletta probably took out. Because in other Jack Kirby comics, you don't see tons of blank space.
No.
Right.
Except
Right.
when
There's always
Coletta's
something
the
going on.
inker.
Yeah.
There was probably a forest behind this background there.
Right.
But still, it was enjoyable, and it was kind of fun having the Chick Stone inking on the modern day part and then the old part. But anyway, the Asgardian myths are really charming in all their variations.
Yeah.
So it was the happy ending for me of reading this otherwise boring comic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my Thor experience for the week.
It's nice with that 4-panel page too. I really like that layout.
Yeah, that's true. It looks like Kirby did a different layout scheme for these bigger mythological stories than when it was just the more normal superheroics with the three tiers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, good point. That's a good
Maybe
point.
to stretch it out a little bit more, because I mean, otherwise that might be a real short, like a 2-pager or something, right? So
right.
Yeah.
And I guess this is more, about getting all the kinetic action in. This is more like illustrating a mythic tale.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the screen and pointing at stuff, but I don't have it so you guys could see.
Yeah.
So I was saying this is more like the mythic stuff, and this was the multiple panels I was talking about while you couldn't see it. But, yeah, with all the kinetic action going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really I'm glad you mentioned that, Terrence, because that makes me see how they're really thinking about the difference between these stories.
Right.
But it's so interesting how Inker can change even Jack Kirby's art, and then the two different ones you have more in-depth look of the details. If that Inker is up to grasp to do that quickly as well and well as well, but then you have another one like you say, you probably have just like loosens up a little bit the Kirby's art, and then it's still it's Kirby, but you have a different sense, or even the storytelling it feels, and it does great deal of color and ink, what makes a difference for the artist as well. So
and we don't get that much in modern art because either there is no inker or the inkers just are supposed to very carefully replicate the look.
Well, and that's the thing you were saying there that's kind of mind-blowing to me that I never really thought of before. You were saying that potentially he left out some things. Is that a common thing that was happening? I mean, because
Coletta is known to do that most of all.
Really?
That's why it's not, I mean, some people don't like Coletta's inking style itself, but the big sin of Coletta is that he literally, they joke he's the artist who erased armies.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
To make his job he was valued for quick turnaround.
Well, of course,
so to do his quick turnaround, he would just ignore
what
he thought were unessential parts of it.
Easy.
So, I mean, artists were known to say, please have anyone but Vince Coletta ink my work.
Interesting. Yeah,
because he's erasing your work. You put all this work into it. And I guess if you knew Vince Coletta was your inker, you'd probably put less into it.
Right. Design things differently. Yeah.
The fun thing, I think, for fans back in the days when there were different inking styles, it was just sort of interesting to see how many different ways art could be transformed. But I think it drove the artists crazy. The artists always hated their inkers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet.
Even the good inkers, they didn't always appreciate.
Right.
And now it's more on the colorists, like on that first Thor thing I saw. I don't think the colorists made the right choices, but you could see he was trying to do something with the thin, threadbare line art that he had to work with.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool.
Okay, so I think Ross is up next.
No,
Terrence is up next.
Yeah.
So this one we won't need to worry about inking or anything. It's from Aircell Comics. It's the Tail of Maya Rom, and it's something that I found in like the cheap bins quite a while back. I just finally got around to reading it. The entire thing is in pencils. It's all pencils. It's by a guy named I'm assuming Sam Dixon. I'm assuming that it's like Samuel and not Samantha. Right. So I had a look online and I couldn't find anything. I found one place like when I had to type in the artist's name and this comic with the hopes of maybe getting onto a thread where we see other links. So I have no idea who Sam Dixon is, if they're still around, but I would love to find some more. This was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like this opening page, just on its own is just beautiful stuff. And like I said, like it's pencils, and some of it feels a lot more finished, especially at the beginning of the story. It feels finished. So I don't know if this is something that was created specifically to be reproduced this way, or if this was just a stage and they liked the way that it looked, or I'm not sure the backstory, because then there's stuff later on that, and again, it might also just be from the reproduction as well too, but it looks like there's some panels that are less finished than what we started with.
Right.
So it makes me think that it's just the other stage and starting to tightening things up before you sent it to the inker. The story itself is convoluted as all hell. There's so many different characters and there's so many different son of this, son of that, going for the sword that was called this, and then the god was this, and it's so difficult to follow. But again, I do kind of, because it's this tale of this woman that a grandfather is telling his grandchild. The grandchild says they overheard mom and dad arguing, and they brought up this woman from, I guess, their mythological past or their past. I don't know if it was like a fairy tale character or if this was supposed to be in their reality, like a real person. But so then he goes to tell him the story of this Maya Rom and what she did for the kingdom and kind of her journey. And it's cool. Again, it really fits into that storyteller Norse mythology, except from what I'm assuming is that it's all made up. I don't think it's based off of anything, but it's so difficult to tell because like I said, can't find any info on this thing.
Yeah.
There was just the one issue when I looked on my CLZ, and then also on my comic shop as well, because I usually check there. They usually have a pretty good sense of, at least if they don't have it in stock, they show you the whole run. So this was the only thing, but nothing, they didn't have a write-up on it or anything like sometimes they do on their site.
Right.
Stuff like this.
Is it
too,
by a publisher you'd heard of, or just?
Yeah, it's Aircell, so the infamous kind of Canadian 80s publishing company that did a whole bunch of out there books. But like stuff like this, that's just so unfinished. And again, it could be the reproductions. It could have been just lighter pencils that didn't translate. But it looks like there's stuff still yet to come. I wanted to show one other thing too.
Hey, John.
He's got this real nice, yes, exactly, John, CanCon. He's got this real nice page here. There's this real animated feel to it. And again, it almost feels like it's a storyboard or a layout for an animated piece. But I love this page a lot with just these kind of small panels. And just her movement through the panels, I think works so well. You really get that sense of motion. But it feels like storyboards to an old animated movie with the character designs and stuff, especially our big bad guy here looks very kind of like a Disney type of villain, you know?
Yeah. But that is cool. That's a very cool page, and it takes a lot of skill as an artist to do that.
Totally. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the other thing. This feels like an artist that has a lot of history and has a lot of maybe work under their belt, but it's super frustrating with these old books when you can't find jack shit about them.
Maybe they were an animation artist or something.
It definitely feels like it. Here's another time where that could be the case. That feels very kind of, here's the main kind of spots of the animation, and then you get people to do the in-betweens to fill in the gaps, right? These feel like those, whatever they're called, keyframes or something like that. I can't remember the proper terminology, but beautiful page. So this is from, I don't know if I said it, what year was it from? 1988 is when this was. So yeah, I don't know how easy this is to find, but if you do see it, I would not hesitate to grab it. Like I said, the story leaves a lot to be desired, but every single page is really gorgeous, and that's kind of that's it there. And then there's this extra piece too. I don't know if this is supposed to be what was going to be a continuation of this story, but I love the look of that too. And I mean, thinking about it again, especially in this time period, I'm kind of glad this didn't get inked because I have a feeling it would lose a lot of its kind of magic that it has. And then on the back, a nice pin up on the back of the main character that looks like she looks like an older lady getting in there, kicking everybody's ass, and the sword is hovering in front of her. So beautiful, beautiful stuff. I'm really, it's one of those times where taking that shot in the dark really paid off, I feel like.
Yeah.
Very good.
And I imagine I would just flip right past that. I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, that cover jumped out at me, that lettering. As soon as I saw that lettering and then pulled it out and saw the rest of the thing, it was kind of a no-brainer from there, even with the Aircell logo on it, because sometimes that stuff is the signal to stay far away.
I don't like that kind of logo lettering. It reminds me of bad heavy metal bands. So
that's exactly why I love it. That's exactly what I think. Because at first I'm like, what does that say? Does that say mirror? Does that say, like, what is this? You know? And then it says on the inside that the name in the little text there. So yeah.
I think maybe AFPC may know that one, or maybe he's just impressed by what you were showing. And good to see you, AFPC. Tommy put a link to your latest video earlier in the chat.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I posted it on Twitter to their AFPC because it was a great one.
Mhm.
Cool.
Oh, is he becoming famous now?
Yeah.
The famous AFPC.
Yeah.
No, good. Weirdness you always find. That's great to look at.
Yeah, so I should remind myself, if it looks like a bad heavy metal logo, I
Maybe you
should
should
grab
look.
it.
aside.
You should give it a chance. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Very good.
Have you
Is
got
that-
something more for us, Rasa?
Yes, yes. So finally, I got my first Epic collection, and there you go. Your
Oh, very
SheHulk.
timely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys mentioned this is. I didn't orchestrate this.
Right.
Anyway, I always the clue on why I got this in particularly because it's a dreaded volume 3, which you shouldn't be getting. You know, it's like, oh, you should always start from volume 1, eh? Like you say, like we always trying to tell. But the key guess, I was really not giving you much information before I ordered this, but I was hoping because of the kind of cover I saw, and it says John Byrne, that I will get the sensational SheHulk, which I was missing in my collection, as I have a original volume 1 of hers, but I'm never made to get all the run from Burns of sensational SheHulk. And then since this mentioning of the actresses and TV shows, the sensational SheHulk or any SheHulk comic books will be kind of escalated in price for a period of time. It all depends how good the TV show will go. Anyway, so though I got I decided why not go to the Epic collection route. And I'm really happy. I know why they get so popular, because of it's like the content. So I get sensational SheHulk 1 to 12, SheHulk Ceremony, which I have 1 to 2 in a floppy format, and also there's some Solo Avengers issue, and the Marvel Comics Presents and Marvel Fanfare in here. So it's quite a few chunks of comic books in here just to go, and it does start with a kind of obscure, maybe not obscure, but this is how you introduce a SheHulk as a lawyer. So the first story we get introduced with is an extra from Solo Avengers starring Hawkeye and Black Widow, with extras of SheHulk and versus Titania. So this is not Hawkeye. Actually, of course, you're not going to see that, but only SheHulk stuff. So we basically start with that, and it's court cost. So as you can see, our SheHulk is preparing for court appearance because she's representing a mutant, and she had to go to like court representatives. I don't know justice system in America, so I do apologize. I don't really understand why you're going through that kind of system. But anyway, so this is basically she's going to appeal towards, because apparently in this time when they Chris Claremont is writing, because as you know he's famous for writing X-Men, mutants are supposed to be all known to everybody, so they power, where they live, and everything, and yeah, they have to be in the books so everybody will be aware. So when something happens, they can be blamed for and be found without secret identities. So she's fighting for one of the mutants, which not really a lot of saying here, but of course she gets to a speech, and yeah, and then of course she gets interrupted in the middle of that because of there's something happening, and of course it's one of the villains of SheHulk, Titania. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how to pronounce the name properly. But anyway, so she gets interrupted because of Titania is doing nonsense in front of the court, obviously, because she wants to literally piss off the SheHulk. And then she gets to punch her, puts her to the pulp, and she thinks like, oh, okay, great, I'm going to go back into court in doing that. But her foe is unrelenting, and she's just giving her a lot of basically anger issues for SheHulk, and the more SheHulk gets angrier, the more deadly she becomes. And then it seems to be she still gets to win, and everything ends in beautiful way. But I really like the way it's been. So the artist, I forgot to mention, it's Alan Davis, and it presents her really beautifully. She's really like has a sense of grandeur, what we were speaking before, and like what she needs to represent. So you can see this little panel where the man falls as man and she next to her.
How small he is.
Yeah, how small he is. And he's like, would you like a mint? And she's like, yeah. And that basically calms her down. Apparently, mint is a great way to calm She-Hulk down. So if you are anywhere in front of She-Hulk, just give her mint. She'll calm down. Anyway, so, and then we have an issue of Marvel Comics Presents 18. And that's where the famous fourth wall thingy happens, I guess. This is how he actually introducing you before #1 of John Burns came out. Apparently this came out to introduce that they're going to come out with a new series. And it's an Xmas tease special kind of thing, because tease is that we're teasing him. They're going to come out with her new series. And I really like how John Byrne represents her here. She's beautifully drawn in here, and I like the grandeur of his the hair. John Byrne does it, and I always loved it in Storm when he was drawing it as well. So it's really beautiful to look at. And I'm more a fan of John Byrne now due to Fantastic Four. I've lots of Fantastic Four have read of his. I really love, and it seems he has kind of similar banter to that point. So in this issue, she has a conversation because she's bored, basically. So she decides that she can call some famous friends she knows. So she calls the Thing with the Fantastic Four to have a little bit of conversation. And while she's having this conversation, she kind of imagines what would happen when Dr. Doom gets to kind of like attack her, and she's gonna beat him to the pulp, and he's still gonna move like a zombie. And instead, then Magneto comes into fruition to her, and she fights him, and all ends up is just her imagination while she's having conversation with the Thing. And then the Galactus comes up, and she's like, says, "Holy Mobius, Galactus is coming." So it's just that little wacky thing. And then she opens her Christmas presents, and she says, "Oh, complimentary copies of the first issue of my brand new mag on sale soon." So it's kind of advertising herself. So that's the
right. So it's already kind of a little bit of that fourth wall breaking.
Yeah, it's already starting. So
the Byrne art looks really nice on the screen here.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, and it's continuously quite like fantastic. So this is the issue #1, which is kind of soaring in, and she's holding her first volume, issue 1, and saying, "Okay, now this is your second chance. You better buy it, otherwise I'm gonna come in your house and rip up all your X-Men," which is fantastic. Yeah, shush! I like my X-Men. And then in this one, so the first issue of her sensational She-Hulk is she being in a circus. So it's kind of like a play of how Hulk came to be, apparently. I'm not aware of first appearance of Hulk because it came in that era, like in early 50s, isn't it? Like first of the Marvel stuff. And
I think 62 maybe.
Okay, okay. If you say so.
I mean, that's what I think. I might.
Yeah, but it's what it says in here. Basically, she says in here, "I'm in circus for training, like Hulk used to do," and they were like impressed. Like, well, that's the only thing what I hate. Now it's gonna be in fresh. I hate gutter loss, and this does. You see, where's She-Hulk? Hello, hello, where are you? It's she right there in the middle in gutter loss, gone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh,
that's really so bad. But okay, I'll pay. It's just what you get for when you get this not hard-covered editions. Right. If you have like omnibus, I presume hopefully that will in better condition, because omnibuses usually are quite good in the book binding.
The binding.
But again, I mean, it's not like they don't know how it's going to present. Why don't they do the work beforehand to move the images more? So you lose less. Yeah. It's so frustrating, so ridiculous.
So anyway, so she's basically don't care. She has the scene she has a scene in the circus with lifting 2 elephants with no sweat at all, and they're saying like, "Oh wow, you're so great, and your brute strength is amazing to show off for us." And she's like, it's not really impressive at all. As Hulk, apparently he was in circus and he was juggling elephants and horses, but pretending to be a robot.
Right.
Yeah, so because she says in here, like back in the early days of his transformation into Hulk, Bruce hid out in the circus very much like this one. So you see it kind of like they trying to introduce her with kind of the same kind of in the way origin of Hulk, of original Hulk was. But the whole point of this issue was she got basically manipulated by this guy, Ringmaster, who basically juju her eyes, goes woo, and then she basically does whatever they basically tell them, and they kind of like tell her like original how actually she became, and of course in same vein they told you a little bit about the Hulk's origin, how he came to be, how she got the power as well, which is great. So reintroducing that, but the whole point for them to steal her, they turn her into this. So this makeup artist gets hired to turn her, because she's always green, turn her into white girl with a red hair, and then call her Glamazonia, which is her name, and the whole point of her, so she can lift lots of things. So they decided to create this stage where people basically get told to come into circus for pre-show, and they show you this amazing show with her, and she lifts them up, and they basically turns them upside down, and they take their cash. Yeah. It's basically that's what she's basically being used for. Also, it's a pretense because apparently there's this hidden scientist, which wasn't really real in the first issue, is seeing how good her strength is and what kind of abilities she has actually. So they pretending to do her using for money. Also, they would supposed to be getting $3 million to find out why and what kind of abilities she actually has. So in comparison to Hulk, I guess they want her to use in different things. And those undisclosed people they're talking about, you show that in the panels. Absolutely fantastic. Honestly, I love She-Hulk, and I know why I liked it so much before. And this is no brainer. This kind of like scenes where the coppers comes in and she's like in kind of like, oh, I don't have my clothes been ripped apart, and she's like, oh, I don't have any clothes, and they give her like this skimpy outfit, like the shortest shorts you can ever wear, and the shirt. But there's I don't know. It's just it doesn't take it kind of too much serious of her, but she is absolutely fantastic. And this is the next issue which I have not started reading, but so far I kind of like it. I mean, I know it's kind of a bit more cheese than I like to, a little bit at the beginning, especially. But it's I know that furthermore you have Spider-Man coming into fruition. Then you have a lot of things happening with her, and there's a couple of artists as well coming in. A lot of different characters, like even Daredevil. I think this isn't it? Jack, what is it?
Jack Murdoch?
No, it's what is his name? I forgot.
Trickster or something, or
maybe. But I'm not sure. I can't tell you because I have not read it. I just skimmed through, but I'm looking forward to it, and it's such a great way for me to have this without basically getting into, like spending too much money off. And then there is this ceremony, which is She-Hulk gets proposed, which I have in floppies, and I've talked about it before with you guys. Is Dwayne McDuffie's story with Robin Day Chapclick and Dwayne McDuffie script, and plot by June Brigman. Because I'm not aware of June Brigman.
I think she was the writer or artist on Power Pack.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay, cool. So, and then you have this story of those extra like formatted issues where She-Hulk gets proposed by American Indian tribe member, and things gets, of course, to the point where people exploded and stuff like that. But it comes to the end to basically good way. It always ends up in kind of love story, but it's kind of really obscure, kind of weird at first, but when you read it, it's really heartfelt storyline as well, which she's part of it. And it says in here, Jennifer Walters, the sensational She-Hulk, accepted marriage proposal from her longtime lover, the Wyatt Wingfoot.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's just interesting part of the She-Hulk lore, or what they try to do with her in the future. So if you haven't heard it, it's great to have that in this epic edition, which I was surprised, because when I was reading, I was thinking it's part of the volume 1 after volume 1, but I guess they decided to put that in this volume to introduce that to you guys, to people and stuff. And then there's extras with this like skimpy look at this, but it's this by Joe Jusko, which was very popular in the 90s.
Yeah.
And he's almost like a Alex Ross, isn't this kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, he only did covers. I don't think he ever did interiors, but
yeah,
he was like Alex Ross cover artist type.
And then of course we get a Marvel Age, so it's a bit more interview of the John Burns, and which I haven't read. I really wanted to read it, but then I ran out of time, of course, before this. But maybe I'll read it this time and then next time. And of course you have Fred Hembeck, a little story of She-Hulk, which I'm looking forward to because it's going to be hilarious. So very good, and also there's a little more information about it. It is fantastic, and also
very well packed collection.
Yeah,
just
and
with the bad binding.
Yeah, but that binding is horrible.
Yeah,
but you pay for like minuscule amount for what? And this is like, look at this cover. Somebody dressed up as She-Hulk, eh? It says in here, Sensational She-Hulk trade paperback in 1992, collected Sensational She-Hulk from 1 to 8, and is covered by John Byrne, apparently. But that looks very like a photographic kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway, so fantastic little epic edition. I'm really happy I took the bullet because I really wanted to get into Sensational She-Hulk, and so far is hilarious and funny, and she's great. She's so she always worries about others, and that's the thing about her. And she's a lawyer. She's always helping everybody. I like her maybe because I like Daredevil. So she's kind of like similar vein, she has to be, but she can't change. That's the only thing. She can't hide who she is, because she's permanently green, and because she was helping Fantastic Four. So hey, blame Fantastic Four for greenness. Blame thing to be thing. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, so that's fantastic. So far, I'm really pleased with my. I always the minute I saw this, I was like, no, I have to, and I was thinking, no, don't worry. But knowing epic editions these days, they go quickly, and I just want to have a little bit of that Sensational She-Hulk, and I might continue if it's. But Got a Loss is killing me. Really killing me.
Especially when you lose a whole entire character, that seems especially bad. Now that's now that's a comic book.
No one will believe that, though.
And then she always gets to undress when she was in that first issue was showing. She went into a telephone booth to undress herself, and it's like no peeking, people. And there was a copper behind it. Copper she's like, oh man. Anyway, so
while you were talking, I became obsessed with trying to find the Hulk in the circus issue.
Oh,
but all I could find is Hulk fighting a circus. He punches this poor elephant.
Oh.
This is from Hulk number 3. So maybe he joined the circus later. I couldn't find it. But anyway, I felt bad for the elephant. I will say that I think Jack Kirby can draw an elephant better than John Byrne, but John Byrne has a lot of other talents.
Yeah.
And cool. I think the She-Hulk was the last Marvel character created by Stan Lee.
Yes.
If you go to She-Hulk number 1, it's written by Stan Lee.
Yeah, if you have
that original She-Hulk run isn't that exciting, I think, compared to the John Byrne one.
Right.
It's up to you. I have the whole run, and
you liked it as much?
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't read it all, so maybe I'm judging too harshly.
Stan Lee's writing isn't great, and if you're well aware of his female takes, usually kind of cringeworthy in some places. But I don't know. It's just if you don't take that into account and just listen to or look at the art and just look at what the character has to go through and all of that. It's not so bad at all, I think. But Sensational She-Hulk, hopefully it's as what people say, it's because a lot of different things they have, especially the fourth wall breaking, kind of interesting. Sometimes it can be a hit or it can be really a miss, because she's just like, suddenly she's like, oh, I have a mag talking about myself and blah, blah, blah. So we'll see. I'll be the judge of that.
AFPC is saying an interesting thing there, potentially in issue 50.
Mhm.
Parody of Chicken's Black Kiss. Wow.
That would have gone over most people's heads. I mean, how
Yeah.
many people read that who were reading Marvel comics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very
But no-
curious about that one.
I want to find that one.
Yeah.
DD beats criminals with a stick, then bills them for legal aid.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, let's see. I read an old comic book, another old comic
Nice.
book, and I was very impressed by it. It's The Man-Thing by Steve Gerber and Mike Plug.
Ooh.
And
Mhm.
basically, I was just looking for some old Mike Plug comics, and a lot of them are expensive because they're early Ghost Rider or early Werewolf by Night, and people have priced those ones up. But I was
Yeah.
able to get this Man-Thing #8 for not very much money. Can't remember how much exactly, but a few dollars. And well, it has a great cover, and this cover kind of tells it all. It is an old school horror story.
Mm.
It reminded me a lot of reading pre-code horror, those little short stories,
Mhm.
only extended out and explored a little more fully.
Mhm.
And it is written by Steve Gerber, so there is some weird Steve Gerber-ness about it, although it's not as weird and satirical as some of his work. In
Mhm.
some ways, it's kind of a straightforward horror story.
Oh, it looks great.
But
man.
it centers around the this fountain that is the fountain of youth
Mhm.
somewhere in the swamp.
Mhm.
And this must be part 2 of the story, so you kind of come in the middle.
Yeah.
But there are these something happened to the Swamp Thing when he encountered the fountain of youth, so he now has one human hand.
Man-Thing, not Swamp Thing.
Oh, I'm sorry, Man-Thing. Yes, Man-Thing. How could I confuse the two? And I was just looking at some Cerebus where he had what was Stump Thing and Woman Thing together. That's
gonna confuse you.
So he's being chased by the evil developer named F.A. Schist, fascist,
Yeah.
who wants to find the fountain of youth so he can bottle the fluids and sell them and make another fortune.
Fucking bastards.
And so I didn't fully understand all of it because it was, all of the rationalization because it was from the previous issue. But there are some people living in this, immortals living in the village. Not on the nose at all. You're right, Andrew. People living in this village who are immortal, and they're led by the fathers, a shadowy group of figures. Anyway, they want to do something with the Swamp Thing. There's the fountain. It's not drawn that clearly. The printing is really bad at this stage in Marvel Comics, I guess. It's 1974. Or maybe it's just a bad copy. But so the two evil capitalists sneak into the village behind them. And they have this there's the shadowy fathers. They have this machine that they hook the Swamp Thing up to that is pumping the fluids of the magical fountain into his body and turning him human. At first I thought it was miscoloring, but he's slowly becoming more flesh colored.
Oh wow.
And meanwhile, the a fascist and his friend sneak in, and
that looks weird.
so there's this weird partially human Swamp Thing. And the fascist convinces them to let him drink the magical waters, and then it turns out you're not supposed to drink the waters, you're supposed to bathe in them, and if you drink them you end up looking like that.
Eesh.
So that's kind of the horror twist. It's, you know, like I said, it's kind of like those old horror stories.
Almost like a Red Skull turning into a Red Skull because of
Yeah.
his powers. Mm-hmm.
And then he tries to kill the girl. I can't even remember why, and the Swamp Thing stops him. And in their fight, the Swamp Thing turns back into the Swamp Thing. And they could do the process all over again, but somehow I love that picture there.
Yeah.
They realize he just wants to go back to the swamp, so they let him go, and everything's back to normal. But I just love the art. I had never viewed Plug this way as a kid when I was fascinated by him, but I think he's kind of his style is more like a 1940s kind of style.
Yeah.
Than the Marvel superhero style of the time, or the DC style of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really enjoyed the storytelling and the way it was paced out, and just the creepy Mike Plug looking art.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if everyone knows who Mike Plug is, but he was only around for a short while in the 70s.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of the horror comics. He did Frankenstein, and he did Ghost Rider and Swamp Thing, and I feel like there's another big horror comic he did. And then he also did a lot of Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what were you saying, Terrence?
I had him appear in an issue or two of Cull, and one of them was just him, and it was phenomenal. I don't know much about him, but it really stood out in the run as this is different, and it had, just like you're saying, like a very different quality to it. Really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paulo's saying it's too bad he wasn't better known. I think, though, he does have a hardcore group of 70s comics fans it's not as easy to find his comics.
Right.
And he didn't stay in the comics industry long. I think he went into either storyboarding or animation or something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then he pops up just every once in a while. Like he did some comic with J.M. Matthias at one point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Hey.
And before he started at Marvel Comics, he was an assistant to Will Eisner on those instructional comics that Will Eisner used to do. And he can do his own. He can do kind of an Eisner look when he wants.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, just in general, I think he just brings kind of an old-fashioned at the time look that, in a way, is very fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so anyway, I had a lot of fun reading that.
It looks beautiful.
Cool.
If you even say it's a shitty paper, but it looks so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's perfect for something like the Swamp Thing. And there's some really good Monster Frankenstein issues that he did.
Man thing.
Generally, I'm not a huge Man Thing fan. The Swamp Thing is so much better, but it does have, Steve Gerber worked on it for a while, which gave it some interesting vibes and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
And of course, it was in a Man Thing story where Howard the Duck first shows up.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Yeah, no, that's the pricey one as well.
Yeah, that's pricey. And that was before he had his own comic. I forget what it was called. It was like, Amazing Adventures or Adventures into Fear, I think it might have been.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of Val Mayrick work on Man Thing, which also makes it interesting.
Hey, that's cool. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye open. It's not something that I see a lot of out there.
I don't think if you see them, it will be pricey because it's not a character and not many of people enjoyed it so much. So. Very good.
Terrence, got some more stuff up your magical shelves?
Oh, way too many. So we'll go with this one next. Another one from the Vertigo. Unfortunately, another where it's a 3-issue miniseries. I only managed to find the 2 issues of something called The System.
Wow, never heard of that.
From Peter Cooper. So this
I had no idea he ever worked for Vertigo.
Yeah, 1996.
Who's Peter Cooper?
Yeah, it's a good question, Rasa. It's nobody that I've heard about before either.
He's part of that New York art comics scene. Yeah, and I think he might have edited a anthology called World War III
Right.
in
right.
the early 90s that was
Right.
kind of carrying on from that
Yeah.
Raw magazine kind of world.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, AFPC knows about it. I only saw 1 or 2 issues of World War III. It was not easy to find on the West Coast at
I
the
see.
time.
Right.
Terrence is starting in the right time for my area to be boobies, eh? They start this time. It's that time
Yeah,
of
yeah.
year.
Sorry, there you
Put,
go.
put
Yeah.
the full screen, Damon.
Oh, sorry, full screen. Yeah, I'm doing a bad job. You better fire me.
So it's nobody that I'd heard. Like I'm sure that I've seen some stuff around, but it's nothing that resonated with me at the time. Clearly, because this feels like it's the very first time. It has a feeling that every page was stenciled, like every panel is stenciled.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and even to the point of you can't see it all the time, but sometimes there's panels that show up where it looks like there's some overspray in the corner that's bleeding onto the white. So it reinforces that idea that these are stencils. And it's a silent comic, just going through life in, I'm assuming, New York, and following a bunch of different characters around, some kind of clunky transitions to different scenes. But overall, you do get a sense of a story there. I was talking about it with Colin, loading the can, and then he's like, "Oh, you've never heard of Peter Cooper?" And he sends me a picture of his Peter Cooper shelf and the stack of books that he has, and none of the titles looked familiar to me at all, the stuff that he showed. But this is really great. I really like this. And again, like speaking of texture, like we did at the beginning there in that Sandman, this is another one that feels like it should have a texture on the page, which makes you wish that Vertigo was also trying to do stuff with different paper and things, because I think this would really, it has a little bit of tooth on it or whatever, but some different paper stock would have been incredible for this to give it even more of a tactile feel. Because at times it feels like you're going to touch some wet paint, because it has that look. This was a really good spread, I think. I love these two pages.
That looks really nice.
Yeah.
I wonder how big is the pages he's doing, because stencils, you have to have size.
Yep.
So maybe he's doing like poster boards, which would be fucking massive.
Yeah. And then just the amount of stencils too, because I'm assuming that this one is him doing everything. So as far as credits, let's see. Yeah, it just says his name is the only thing that I see in the credits. So Peter Cooper for everything. So this is one that I found in at the flea market last weekend, I guess. The guy that I go to see, Dan Madcat Comics, he's had a long box, like 3/4 of the way filled with just various Vertigo stuff. He said to me, he's like, nothing is complete, unfortunately, but if there's anything you want, I'm sure we can work something out. So I got a big stack of Vertigo stuff.
Vertigo was really stretching, bringing him in. I think the average Vertigo fan, even, that might have been a weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is from the Vertigo Verite line.
I didn't know there was.
I don't know much about, so I don't know what else was on there.
What's the meaning of verite?
Like cinema verite, so like a real life kind of slant to everything. So like blurring the lines between kind of fiction and just reality, like real people reciting, just having real conversations, that sort of thing, from my limited understanding of it anyway.
Yep.
Oh, I like that panel at the bottom there, her expression. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the color, he must have hand colored it, I'm guessing.
That's the thing. And that's the thing that I'm thinking as well, too. But again, like the coloring looks like it's painted on as well. Like, because there's these things that are happening here on the shirt, you can see some of the red bleeding through and some black over top of it. I don't know what the state of digital coloring was.
No, I think he must have been coloring with pastels or something on the board.
It's really cool. It really gives an amazing look. So desperately looking for issue number 3 now, just to see kind of where this goes and where we go. So it's well worth it. I'm glad that I grabbed it. I'm glad that I gave it a shot. Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, not much to say story wise. I mean, the story is fine. Like I said, there's a couple of transitions sometimes that are a little more jarring. And one of the other things, which I'm not seeing a sample of, he uses this lettering up here. Like there's a bunch of times where there's this lettering that comes in that really looks separate from everything else. And my thing was kind of like, you're doing stencils of the entire art. Why not stencils for the lettering too? But I don't know. Okay,
so
cool.
There's probably this whole World War III magazine that you need to track down somehow.
I think so. Yeah, I'll definitely be looking for that now too. So there's more boobies for everybody there at home.
The more you
now
show
we're all happier.
all these panels, the more I like it. I want like it just grows on you, like the first page is okay, but then it just gets more involved. Like, look at that. How busy is
that
this?
car?
Yeah.
That car is amazing, man. It's great. And seeing like the movement in it and this kind of static thing that you think of, especially with stencils, you think of like this repeating an image over and over again, but to give the sense of life and movement to everything. Yeah, here's kind of the pages where the lettering really just starts popping out all over the place. And I just feel like it stands out in not the greatest way. It stands out and kind of detracts from everything else that's going on. So, but I mean, like I said, I still think it's a fantastic book. So that's the only 2 issues. Like I said, only a 3-issue miniseries. So I don't know if it's been collected in something already, but it's called The System.
Very good. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah, the Vertigo, you always find something, man. I mean, it's like a well. You keep on coming out to take some, and then you're still coming back, and like it's just crazy how much they produce.
That's exactly right. And I mean, it's just amazing. I think Travis and I have spoken about it in the past too, but just the fact of there's just things out there that how the hell have I never heard of this before? It's so great, the scope that they had as a sideline.
Yeah.
Very
good.
Well, I just was Googling about World War III, the magazine that he founded, started in 1979. I had no idea.
Shit. Oh, wow.
And lasted 4 decades.
Whoa,
but I've only seen 1 or 2 copies of it.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah.
It might have been something that was mostly on sale, in New York City. I don't know where they sold it. And then I feel like Peter Cooper, I've seen a lot of hardback books of his, but not very many comics.
Interesting.
So he must not be a young guy then.
Yeah, I'm assuming not. No.
79.
Yeah.
How old are you, Peter Cooper? Just tell us.
Yeah, come on, Peter. We know you're watching.
Would be like a reply. I would be a shocker if it would reply. That would be just like somebody mentioned my name. Do you know?
It's funny. I just realized we went from Man Thing to Peter.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay, now we're gonna go Batman. Okay, I need to give us some
just another dick, right?
Yeah. Just it's a private one.
Come on now. You gotta stop thinking about. Anyway, not that I am, but shut up. Go back
to some Batman.
Hey, you said it.
There's no boobies, unfortunately. I do have to apologize for that in advance.
All right, next.
Shut up. Where is it? Oh wait, I'm getting lost in translation now. Where's that issue I start reading? Oh, there you go.
Better miss up.
Oh, okay, cool. Bye. I guess Batman bores people. Anyway, so 492. So I have to give this really big tomes. Yeah, this is big tomes I decided to just take from a library. It's actually becoming a little bit daunting.
Right, that whole omnibus effect. It's a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, it's becoming really kind of crazy. But I just need to get, because my attention span, it just goes everywhere, because I do like it to have variety of my reading done. But I'm continuing now with finally with a Nightfall issue 1 of Batman, which was in 492 edition, and this is all about Mad Hatter and how he's gonna get to a Batman. So all this Bane introduction to this Batman's life becoming a little bit troublesome because more and more things happening, and I think Batman is getting tired. Now, you guys tell me, which Batman is it? Is that Dick Grayson?
No, it should be Bruce Wayne Batman at the time.
No, I know, but I'm so his sidekick.
Oh, which
Robin.
Robin?
Robin, yeah, sorry.
No, I don't know, but I think it's not. I think Dick Grayson is Nightwing by now.
Oh, okay.
So you're actually reading a dickless Batman.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So Doug Mensch and Norm Breyfogle, and Norm Breyfogle is becoming really good at. I mean, I'm enjoying more and more of his paneling and his Batman lore characters he's getting, and the Batman is keep on having this mentioning of the Bane, and it's becoming in the news. Everything is becoming a kind of like, as I say, chaos in Arkham. Like Arkham is becoming to the point where villains are trying to get to Batman. Bane is orchestrating getting rid of some villains, taking them away from Arkham. So lots of escapees. So Batman is getting tired, and Robin is noticing that, and he's keep on telling, like typical Tim Drake. Oh, thank you, Andrew Lopez. So there you go. That's Tim Drake. I'm not really much familiar with Tim Drake anyway, but he's noticing that he's getting tired, and he's always trying to be there by his side, but Batman's like, no, you wait behind, just wait for me, I'll deal with this and stuff like that. But this one is where Mad Hatter goes into a haberdashery shop, which is hat shop really. It's called haberdashery shop, which is funny. And he gets an invitation to Batman to give him and get him to his party of, tea party, basically. And he invites all sorts of villains in order to capture Batman or kill Batman, whatever he wanted to have. And then there's this tea party in here. Of course, they're playing around with Alice in Wonderland because he's in the park, and it's a special park because of blah blah blah. So lots of things you can kind of reminisce, but he's basically manipulating those villains in order to gain more, like on Batman, because at the end of the day, you need a lot of people in front of you before Batman can reach you, but of course nothing happens to what he actually has planned. And you have this great scenes of like furious Batman, like angry panels. I will show you this crazed look of Robin, which I was very surprised. They're almost the point looking kind of villains. At the moment here, Bane is dealing with his own. So basically, because of Bane is kind of dealing with villains as well, because he wants to keep Batman for himself. But what the whole plan is kind of working because there is Batman still don't know who Bane is, first of all. Second, all this chaos happening. Batman wants to do everything for everybody else, and then also Bane doesn't let any other villain to get to Batman because Batman is his. Because the whole thing is he has a plan how to kill Batman, but he needs to get to the point when it will happen. So even he tries to protect Batman. Once again, I'm going to mention that name quite often. To protect him as well. And I'll show you those couple of panels where, oh yeah, that's the issue. What happens? And look at Batman. Look at him, how he is so tired. He is exhausted. And Robin's like getting furious with him, and the chip at the back of it. So now next issue, we have Ventriloquist and Amygdala. So another two people, villains who basically came back from Arkham because of the Banes made them escape everything. And Ventriloquist in here is this creepy little guy with a sock. And then the sock is basically telling him to do bad things, and he's just listening, and he's always looking for Scarface, which is this what his actual doll's name is? Because I'm not aware. Because keep on throughout this whole issue.
I don't remember that character, so I don't know.
because throughout this issue, you have him saying, "I'm looking for Scarface," and then he goes into that toy shop and looking for that doll, that to ventriloquist to do it, basically to talk to.
Yeah, I remember that from the cartoon. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the doll's name, Scarface.
Yeah, so there you go. So he's been looking. So let me get to the point of that Robin's creepy panels, which I'm trying to get to. So there's lots of these, like you get panels like here, like really sinister Batman, kind of almost to the point of being him kind of in the villain. But then you have these panels of here, he almost being like ripped apart by this, what is his name? Oh my God, I'm getting lost in translation. I'm learning a lot of things, to be honest, because I'm not aware of quite a few of them. What is his name? Oh my God. Amygdala. The giant guy who has problems with his brain, basically. This guy is called Amygdala. And it's manipulated by him. As you can see, the sock puppet, like the ventriloquist in the corner here. So he's looking for another one, like this mouse. And there's this kind of little bit stupid kind of like, "Oh, jeepers, look out, behind you, a monster. Shut up, you rat." And he's like talking to kind of himself, and he's going really troublesome. And this guy, the bird guy, who has a whatever that bird is, he's basically, Robin has found him. And look at the Robin's face, if you can see it. Look how sinister it looks like.
Demonic.
You look like, yeah, like demonic kind of feel to it, like, "Oh, I'm gonna catch you," kind of thing. And the guy is like, he catches the bird instead, and look at him, like he's really happy about it. It's like, looks freaky. And you're like, you always kind of think about Robin and Batman as a good guys, but in here, the way they were, like even this face, he got away from me, and he's like so pissed off that he couldn't do it properly, like because he has kind of like he wanted to capture him so badly, but Bane said to this guy to leave him alone, don't do anything to them, because he has a giant plan behind that. So and then I finished reading, and I'm going to that issue number 3, and which is beautiful Kelly Jones cover.
Yeah.
With those long ears.
I always forget that Kelly Jones was just the cover artist and didn't do the interiors back then.
Yeah, it's cover art by Kelly Jones, and it's still Norm Brayfogle. And then the next one is going to be Red Flash with this guy who's basically scarring himself to death. A lot of new information for me. I thought I kind of knew the lots of lore of the Batman, but I guess when you start reading it, get into it again, or you start to just get no more of this, it just becomes like crazy. But it's really good because it's fast paced, so it's good read at that point. So sometimes I just need to read it like I'm planning to do, but I just get distracted by something like She-Hulk or the other thing I'm gonna show it to you where I'm reading. So yeah, but it's so far it's still kind of like a lot of entertaining things, but I'm getting confused. Like now I told you about who is who, because they don't really tell you. They just talk Robin, or like Bane's like the party. There's a couple of mentions just at the beginning of an issue. So when you take a break, you kind of like your brain has to kind of keep up with the information for that. So I still want to read it a lot because it's very entertaining, and as I say, that's Norm Brayfogle is really growing on me, even though it's like that a time of like, is it 90s as well, this comic book, or 80s?
Early 90s, I believe.
Early 90s. So yeah, so it's lots of good panels, and it's really nice print on here. Like I say, it's a lot of fantastic things to look forward to, and yeah, I just really enjoy it. But I just need to sometimes just like maybe concentrate on reading this, like especially finish this one and see how I feel, because I have 2 more of this 600-ish plus to go through, like pages. It's kind of, as I say, very daunting.
Yeah, but
even though
at least it sounds like it's a good read. It's not like you have hundreds of bad pages to read just to get the good.
It's really, as I say, that the way Bane so far dealing with Batman is actually completely clever, because he slews so much chaos in Arkham, and Batman has to deal with it. So he sees all the good things, bad things, how Batman deals with situations, and all sorts of situations, because there's so many villains around. So he can't just like basically he cannot keep up, because there's hundreds of them, and he's only one and a half because of Robin. He's not letting Robin do anything basically, and Robin's like, let me help, and he's like, stay away, I'll do it, I'm the man. Kind of thing. So
I like the way Tommy describes Scarface here, like Two-Face, but with two personalities that speak to each other.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
And Paulo imagines a world where Leonard Samson, who is from the Hulk comics, the psychiatrist who got gamma irradiated, worked at Arkham, gamma-powered bat villains, most likely. So I'm imagining an alternate world where Paulo Costa is the editor of the Bat line of comics. That would be get some interesting results. Are we going to talk Shaolin Cowboy today, or no, you haven't got your copy yet?
No, I'm going to have next week. Please.
Okay, we'll talk about it coming
up. The camera if you could do it.
I won't be here next week. I'm going to a wedding. So if we could,
of course.
Well, you guys could talk about it without me. Actually, that's fine. Well, I had a good time. Good time reading it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't want it to wait next week because there's another comic book coming out next week, which I want to get. So I have to kind of wait. I almost didn't want to, but I'm just a frugal person, so I keep the pennies in my pocket.
Well, I've been slowly working my way through Now magazine number 11.
Oh, that's not wow! That's like a trade paperback.
It's basically a trade paperback. It's I think quarterly. It's from Fantagraphics.
Yeah.
And I assume it's supposed to give you like the cutting edge of the more alternative comics world. I think we've discussed it with Earl Grey, and I almost wish I could have Earl Grey and Loading the Cannon talk about this with me so they could tell me what's good and what's not in here.
Terrence usually reads it as well, isn't he?
Does he? I think he occasionally does. I don't know if he regularly gets it.
I see. Okay.
I don't know if it was issue 10 or issue 9. I liked quite a bit, so I decided to get it issue 11. And I was mostly left scratching my head.
Oh, no.
There was some interesting stuff, especially visually.
How much is this pleasure of having this anthology?
It's not very expensive, I don't think, for what it is. It's $13 for a trade paperback, basically.
Not bad at all.
And I think I got it at my shop, so I got a 25% off that.
That's encouraging. Oh, that's really good.
Before we get out of Batman, AFPC suggests Legend of the Dark Knight.
Yeah,
with lots of short arcs. Yeah, usually like 4-issue arcs or 3-issue arcs, and it was I've read like the first 50 issues, and those were really good. But of course, there's so much Batman to read, you just can't read it all.
I'm chipping away. I definitely will be looking at that one day, but let's concentrate on this one first.
AFPC hasn't picked up the other issues of Now. But like I really like this art, but this is just like a one-pager where someone's in a windstorm and says, "Are we in danger? I don't know." But it's a nice visual kind of thing.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hello. Sorry, everybody came home there.
Let me get that off your faces.
Yeah.
Shall we get a nice close-up of the superstars? What have you been up to, Lillian?
I missed what you guys were talking about, but we were in the background here.
Now. We're talking about now.
Oh, now. Okay. Yeah.
Is it getting hot there, Lillian, or is it still cold? And
It's really hot.
It was hot today. Yeah.
Oh.
It's nice and cool in the basement, though. It's beautiful down here.
Oh, look, she's a superhero.
Yeah, there you go. Who's she? Who is this menace?
A duck.
I'm a duck.
Yeah.
Bill face.
Yeah, exactly. Donald. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
Let's see. So we're talking about Now magazine. Did you get number 11, Terrence?
No, I didn't. I've only got a few issues. I haven't picked it up. It looked graphic novel size, though, when you put it on the side. Oof, geez, Louise.
Yeah.
I think it's about 130, 135 pages.
Wow.
And I was very attracted to the cover, and I think I really liked, there was some stuff in issue 10 I liked. So I decided to push through it. And I basically just left wondering. I would love to know. I would love the editor to have notes saying why he thought each one was such a great story. So I just don't even I don't have the context.
Yeah.
FPC says their previous anthology, Gnome, had work that he could digest more easily. Yeah, digesting these stories is hard. Like sometimes I'll just sort of forget what they're about and just see the images.
Yeah.
This one is about two young gay men walking around on the street talking about a party they went to and whether people are friendly or are snubbing them. And I just, after a while, I couldn't care as the conversation went on and on.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure like what the point is or what it's telling us about the world. Yeah, that cover does have a Yellow Submarine vibe.
I thought exactly the same. It's like, oh, there you go.
So anyway, that was one of the lesser stories to me. This one, Wounded Candy, I can no longer remember what it was about, but I did like the art and the color.
Right.
And who's that?
Interesting stuff. Let me see. I should have like marked the ones that I thought were most interesting. Like this one has great art, but it's just it's really great art, but I wish there was some content to go with it.
Right.
People kind of standing around in a junkyard having a conversation about stuff that I don't know.
I feel like now might just be not necessarily about themes all the time, but just about here's a platform for newer artists to get some stuff published is what I've always thought of it. And I mean, the stuff that I've read, I'm with you. Like I've struggled to get through those issues, which is why I haven't really picked up more. It's not that there was like you, there was good stuff, but I couldn't tell you much about it on hindsight, you know?
Right.
I want it to be better than it actually is, I guess.
Yeah, me too.
High expectations.
I mean, it's the idea is really nice to have a regular anthology that features kind of, I hate to use the word avant-garde, but the slightly more avant-garde side of comics. And, and hopefully, get you excited about things.
Totally.
This guy's stuff, I seem to remember it was kind of funny. They're kind of like short satirical strips. I can't even remember, though, what it was about.
Yeah, it looks
this
pretty
one
cool.
I've read more recently. It seems to be a monologue of someone's thoughts as they fall to their death into a river. Maybe like from Niagara Falls or something like that. But it kind of comes off as like almost like a gallery art that has words on it.
Right.
Rather than if you knew the person who made the art, it might have more meaning to you, like all of the monologue about the life that they imagined they would lead. But it doesn't sink in very deep. But every page is a different sort of graphic experiment. So I did appreciate it on that level. But I just felt like I was supposed to get something out of it that I didn't.
Looks like
it's kind of like certain modern poetry that you read and you think, oh, I just don't know any of the references that they're basing it on.
Right.
So I don't know if there's a group of people who really understand each other, or if it's just kind of accepted that you'll read something and you'll never know the context. This was a long one. Wow, it's still going on.
Looks like Risoprint in some places.
Yeah, it really
You're
does.
right.
Hey?
You're right. It does. Yeah, that's a very good point. Okay, and then this one was very cool, but I didn't. It's got by two different artists who I think were from Latin America, and another hard to read logo. It actually says Mission E5.
Wow, yeah, definitely confusing.
And it starts off. It's basically wordless, except for a few sort of like computer warnings. But I guess this astronaut has gotten an infection in outer space and is heading back, trying to head back to Earth.
Yeah.
And that's about all I got out of it. But I really enjoyed this artwork, actually.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
It was really bold and interesting. And so I think he's traveling through space. But then, let's see. Suddenly it switches to the other artist's work, which is also really nice, but I have no idea how the hand I guess on this page, maybe there are two bits of work collide,
Realities
and this
colliding.
sort of
Yeah.
melting hand image shows up.
Dude.
And then we're just going down the river with this character with a melting hand, and I could glean almost
Beautiful.
nothing from this part, but I enjoyed it visually.
That visuals remind me would be great in Headlopper. You remember that series?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's like pushing that headlopper type of art further. Again, you could almost imagine walking in a gallery and just seeing these, as prints or painting up on the wall.
Exactly.
Oh man, I dig that story a lot. That's
so
great.
These two artists are really good.
Yeah.
But you struggle thinking you're supposed to make something out of the story. And
but at least it's not self-indulgent woe is me storyline to kind of make the story.
Yeah. This was my favorite.
Really difficult to kind of stomach after a while of
Yeah.
another kind of look at, navel gazing or whatever. Like it's a little much after a bit.
Yeah, this was my favorite, and this kind of gives you the vibe of maybe you're in a magazine where art intersects a little bit with comics,
right?
And I definitely, I don't spend my money on these really expensive art magazines that you can. I don't know if you've seen them out there. One of them was actually started by some underground artists. I forget what it's called.
Oh yeah,
but they usually cost like $20 a piece.
Yeah. I used to pick up the illustration magazine every once in a while. That was fantastic but yeah, they were pricey for sure.
Yeah, a lot of the illustrative styles resemble each other, although I felt this one stood out. So at the end of this one, it does say, inspired by the story A la Deriva, aka Adrift, from 1917. So, maybe if I had read that story, I would see what they're doing. But, it would have, maybe they should say that at the beginning of the story at least, and or provide, if it's from 1917, maybe they could reprint the story.
Yeah.
But then there was this other thing that's kind of graphically interesting, but apparently it's taking scenes from an old 1947 comic book, but I assume they're redrawn because this doesn't look 1947.
Right.
But then the dialogue is from someone's text messages with their mother. So it didn't make for anything readable to me, but interesting concept anyway.
Wow.
And it includes fake ads and stuff, and it goes on and on. And then this one was interesting. It's called Claude, and it's about Claude Monet having a conversation with a person who I looked it up. They actually were friends. I always forget his full name. It's in here somewhere. John Singer Sargent.
Oh, wow.
Who was an American painter who lived in Paris. He was not, people love Monet. He was looked down upon because he was just a portrait artist. But I guess they were friends. And in modern times, people have come to appreciate what Sargent did, but they didn't back then. But Monet just has a monologue about the lock of a woman's hair and the perfume of her. And it all starts turning into as he's talking, into what looks to me like Picasso paintings. That Guernica kind of era of Picasso work. So I didn't know what this was about. Like if this is based on something real in Monet's life or not. I did actually try to read up on Wikipedia about Monet, and he had 2 wives, but I didn't see anything about someone he had an obsession about. But that might not be on Wikipedia. So, and at the end, Sargent is just upset by his.
Sorry, Terrence is distracting me.
Don't blame me, Rasa. Sorry, Damien. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, Island was kind of cool. It's unfortunate that didn't last longer.
Yeah, I finally found the last issue that I needed from Island, so I'm hoping to kind of go through that whole series.
Yeah, I never finished reading all of it too. I kind of collected it and read bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
That nose is it's really distracting me.
Yeah.
By the artist, because the beard coming through here.
Yeah.
Right, the beard's going up
Yeah.
too far.
Nostril.
At least I've never seen a beard do that.
Yeah.
Although there are all kinds of weird beard things.
Maybe this one fetish is.
So, and then at the end, Sergeant just gets too upset with all Monet's saying and says, fuck you, and walks out of the restaurant. That's the end of the story. So I don't know, again, if I had in-depth knowledge about Monet and Singer Sargent's lives, maybe I could understand that story better.
If you at all want to get into oil paintings, Singer Sargent is the #1 now to tell you to get into. Like a lot of them saying how unique these oils were, even though
Interesting, yeah.
there's lots of like because when I was starting to get to know oils a little bit, Singer Sargent was everywhere, just blasted information wise. So
yeah, I mean that was interesting looking that up and learning that he was once looked down upon and now he's very famous.
that's a problem with artists, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And many.
This one, a cat swallows a baby. Basically, that's
Oh
what happens
no!
there. This one, 2 stoned guys in a car decide to take a shortcut, fall off a cliff, and die. That's weed kills at the end. So, Terrence, watch
look
out.
the message,
Yeah.
Terrence.
Exactly. Yeah.
Smoking and driving, bad idea.
Yeah, that's right.
Shortcuts over cliffs, they don't work so well.
That's right.
Oh, look at that! At the back is the same artist as well.
The same artist as the front piece. I really like this artist.
And he appears in every issue, I think, doing that similar kind of thing. And I'm just blanking on his name right now, but I know that there's a book coming out from him through Fanta, if it hasn't come out already. But I'm completely drawn a blank.
Yeah, now this guy, I would like a book of his, perhaps.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's kind of, it's a good, this one is better than the front piece in terms of just a weird, surreal piece.
Yeah.
Where this giant eats this normal sized man. He says, well, I paid to eat you. And then he eats him. And then at the end, they come out of his stomach and say, we're going to haunt you.
Right.
It's silly, but it kind of has that surreal feel to it. That's kind of, and I don't know, it feels a little more like an underground comic or something.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't, one thing I thought about, like looking at this, I mean, it's silly of me to say, but if you haven't gotten into comics yet and you look at Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and say, I wonder why people think they're so great, you can find stuff written up about why people think this is great.
Yeah.
And I mean, I shouldn't expect that level from this, but it would be nice to have editorials saying sort of what we look for in art, what art means to us or something.
Yeah.
Context, in other words, would help for me.
Yeah.
But I might try another issue. It's not too expensive, and it is kind of just interesting to see.
I kind of wish some of the stories were taken from previous, even if it's self-published issues, because then at least if there's ones that stood out, then I could just kind of dip into trying to find those single issues instead of committing to the whole book.
Yeah,
true. Yeah,
because there was a couple in there that really stood out for sure, but only a couple.
A best of now, if they chose the right ones, would be good.
That'd be killer.
I just like I'll telephone them and look, I have an idea for the better edition of now collected one.
I'll just buy them and rip them apart and make my own.
Right.
That's another way you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't, at the worst case scenario, it might be an editor just publishing his friends. Sometimes worry that could be the case of something.
Right.
Like okay. More stuff, Terrence?
Oh yes,
I can do one more. Yeah, sure. Since we're going down this route anyway, why don't we just go all the way to art kind of dominating over maybe storytelling. I did a video about this, but it's always worth looking at again. This Roger Binion does like self-published risograph type of books from a series called No Man, and this is No Man number 18. They're usually limited edition. They're usually like black light, heavy, just journeys into like psychedelic art. So this one sort of has a story of a musician kind of creating these worlds, but it is just, it's stunning to look at. And again, like it's the texture and everything is really good. It's a very tactile looking book, or feeling book rather. So, but we sort of kind of get introduced into this world where we're going to meet our kind of main character, and just kind of get into his space where he's playing his wild synthesizers in his underground cave. And then we get to kind of see how that affects the planet around him, or is at least kind of what I was taking from it anyway. So a sort of story-ish there to bring you through. But the draw obviously is the incredible art. Like this 2-page spread here is just gorgeous stuff. Like, and under black light, this just pops even more. So some really good creature kind of character drawings, and all that line work is beautiful. So I mean, this is the reason why I pick up his stuff. I don't have very much. I've only got a few things, but this is why I kind of, as soon as I see that he's putting something else out, it's kind of a no-brainer purchase for me. And I bought these right through him, so he can be found online as well. And he usually does prints.
People should look for your video where you did it under black light.
Yeah, the black light one, we looked at everything that I have from him, just kind of have the black light set up behind me there, and just to see how it would look, that thing there hanging on the wall.
He does a lot of fun things there with the way he works with panels. I like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of those spreads you showed.
I love this page too. Really just fantastic stuff. He actually found the video as well too, so he sent me an email just to say, hey, is this you? And just kind of a nice thank you, which was great. So I really appreciated that. It was nice to hear from him, have a little chat with him. So, but yeah, this is beautiful stuff. Yeah, I agree, John. It would be great to see things kind of moving and bubbling. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And the coloring is top notch. And then kind of at the end, we have our main character kind of sailing away in his bubble as he's still jamming away on his synthesizer. I just love that. And
what's his name again?
Roger Binion is his name. I'll find you the credit there. There we go. So Roger, DGER.
Binion.
But this last image of, I guess, like a look at the planet here is really nice as well too. So I mean, every single image on here is like a shirt / poster / whatever you want, right? they really stand alone. Even just seeing these 2 pages, you don't need much more than this, right? So, and I mean, then it becomes like this art piece because it's really, really nicely produced. It's nice to,
it's
nice
like
to
an
hold.
art gallery in your art gallery show in your hand.
Yeah,
absolutely right. Yeah, exactly right. And again, just to kind of end on that beauty, because I love it so much. So.
Yeah. So risograph can actually do illuminating ink. Actually, they print with that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
wow.
it really does respond. Some of those yellows and stuff like that almost looks like a glow in the dark ink.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Wow. So that the printing process is actually can be done.
It's intense. Yeah.
They cost a lot of money to make, I believe.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
that's why like these aren't cheap to buy by any stretch. You know what I mean? Like these aren't like $2.99 books by any. But I think
it's not because
totally
they're trying to rip
it.
you off. It's because it's an expensive printing process.
Yeah,
and it takes a long time because it goes through several color systems. So anyway, it just doesn't just print in one go. You have to go through, and you have to pre-plan it because it can come out really badly.
Yeah.
So,
your different plates and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
It's Japanese invention, isn't it? This risograph, or is it?
I believe so. I'm not 100% certain on kind of its history.
I know that the printers are really pricey. I mean, you can get them, but then the problem is the inks and all that stuff, and they use like isn't it true? But maybe I'm imagining. I think like powdery things you have to like use and everything in that printing process anyway. So yeah, very interesting way of printing, and it definitely shows the different take on the paper and how the art printed.
Yeah, and this is beautiful, beautiful kind of cardstock. Every single page is really thick. It's awesome. Yeah.
You might have said, but did you discover this through one of those small press distributors online?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I found from somebody had spoken about, and I think I ordered it from Gutter Pop Comics, and they had an earlier piece where it was this Miffed Ruffians, I think is what it was called, that first issue that I saw. And I just saw the cover and thought it looked amazing. And from there, you know, like I often do with these guys, I look for a website and do a little bit of digging, and then found his website and saw that he had a whole bunch of other stuff. And now it's just kind of part of my rotation. Every once in a while, I just kind of check out his website to see if there's anything new. This one, I think it might have been, I don't know if it was Domino Books that posted it on Twitter, but somebody posted it on Twitter, and that kind of tuned me into making sure that I grab a copy. And I like to go right to him, just buy it straight from him as opposed to someone else.
If you can do that, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked on places like Domino Books and elsewhere, usually sent there by Ryan.
Yeah.
But it's hard because you spend a lot of money on often books that have 6 or 8 pages.
Yeah.
And I wish I could go to a store. I guess I do have a store where I could go look at them, actually.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
should go there more often.
Yeah, totally you should. Yeah.
So I don't know how many you guys have, but I have 3 more things to talk about. I don't know how many you have. Terrence, you have still...
I have a lot, but I have a lot, but I'm on a bit of a time limit because we're going to go out for dinner. So, you know, I've probably got about another half hour or so.
Oh, okay. Okay, then what should I want to mention a couple of things. Oh, well, I'll go with this one.
You want to do a speed round?
Yeah. So finally read this.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Rad God by Richard Corbin. I showed you guys that had it, I think, quite a while ago, but I never went in. And then, of course, something popped in my head. I was like, okay, I think I was like, okay, just go through it. And it was nice evening. And this is like unique horror experience, which is not really good to read. So I read a couple of pages. It wasn't as horror-esque thing happening, but I left it to the daylight after that to explain. So Rad God is terrible things stalk the forest outside of Arkham in the chilling origin tale from comics master Richard Corbin. So this is hardcover edition, which I got for free. So I should be thankful. So it's 2015, the first edition of this came out, apparently. So this is chapter 1. And there, so it's, to be honest, this is the first ever time I've read Corbin for the full story. I always sample a couple of things, like, like art-wise and stuff like that. But this is the fully first thing I basically, from the page 1 to right at the end, which I actually explored Corbin. And
Corbin graphic novel.
Yeah, exactly. So it's my basically the first experiences, and I loved it. It had mysterious part of it, where is this weird village, and then you get to introduce to this past of 2 people running. So the tribe people who got involved in the storyline. And the town the whole scene's happening is called Lame Dog, which is interesting name for a town to have. And it's basically a love story, to be honest. I don't know, you both have read this story, yes? I presume.
Yes, I have. I think
Terrence? Oh, he's gone now.
No, I'm here. Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I have read it. Yeah.
Yeah. So in my sense, what I have a feel of is just like a love story with a lot of innuendos throughout because of the mysterious things what's happening in that little town. It is at first, to be honest, as not a extreme enthusiast towards Corbin art, which I'm not. I have thoroughly enjoyed it throughout, and it grew on me more throughout the pages I was flipping, and I wanted to know more. And it's actually really, I was surprised how it is, because it's drawn and written by him, isn't it? I am correct.
Yes.
And it's surprised how like page turner was for me, because I kind of really wanted to understand the full out story, because at first I was a little bit confused. Of course, but then the story came into fruition. Especially, this guy had a life experience of his lifetime. The man who basically fell in love with a girl who is from that lame dog town. We met up in this university, I think, where he was studying, and he all looked all proper and so all sophisticated. and meeting this. I guess she's American Indian. Is that where am I correct in presuming that?
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been so long since I've read it.
Yeah, Native American legend. Basically, this is So I am correct in that sense. Basically, so he meets this girl, and then he goes in search of her because he realizes that he was in love with her without telling her to that. So he goes on the search, and he goes in this basically journey to get to her town first, which he meets the brother who is not aware of first, who gets basically steals his car, basically punches him in the face and leaves him behind. And then like a bad juju happens afterwards because he's not supposed to be saying a couple of words about the tribesman. He gets snowed in, almost dies. And in the way he survives is by thinking of the girl he met in the university. Basically, you find the backstory. Fantastic, to be honest. Quite honest, I was surprised I will enjoy this much, but I thoroughly did. And as I say, it grew on me the more I went through it. The one thing I guess what I really liked, it's not about that creepy parts of the lame dog town experience. I think I just enjoyed his ordeal, and he almost died a couple of times, but he did survive. And then we actually found out his background, where he's actually from. And there's a twist, which I'm not going to say because it's kind of really rewarding right at the end to find out. And then how he's ends up, what future holds those two. Because it seems to be that they both wouldn't be surviving as a couple at all. Because none of them in here wanted them to be part of together in a way because of the rituals they were partaking, or what kind of things they were believing into or believed, especially this guy, this artist who was drawing the surrounding areas, and he's becoming kind of filthy rich, and he's deciding what happens next, I guess. So yeah, I guess I'm becoming a fan of Corbin now.
So the art really grew on you during the course of reading it?
Yeah, and because I wasn't, as I say, I mean, Corbin was, of course, interesting, intriguing for me. But when you're just looking at several examples without reading throughout fully, I don't think you realize what take the artist has to tell you. Yeah. And it does really help when you actually have full-on story, especially written by him. And it does kind of it gets you interested in understanding the characters, makes you interested in them, even the backgrounds and everything. And that just the quirkiness and weirdness to it. And especially there's a couple of panels with the Rat God, which is basically why the series are called. And my favorite was when they were in this party, and I really love it. I think that's where I started liking a lot of his art, when this has obscure masks they were wearing and this colors introducing you to kind of slightly different experience of Corbin beforehand, because it's very dark, and in here it becomes so much lighter and brighter. But it just portrays his art a little bit more, and intricacies, what he wants to portray in people's kind of movements and stuff like that, and all the shapes, like you would say. So yeah, that's to say. And then you have a couple of extra sketches and studies from Richard Corbin, which is really sketchy, and it's great to see. Not really clean lines like you are seeing in some of the sketchbooks now these days, especially what is just the scratchings, to be honest. And he's just studying to see what he wants to portray, and those little panels there of the woods, fascinating with pencil. Really like it. And it actually has a dimension of the comic even more to tell you, because it's just little notes and stuff what he's looking grave at. And one of my favorite things here of his sketchbook, because I like that kind of form of the comic. So So yeah, and this part where Corbin did this strip Infestation, for 2014 HP Lovecraft Film Festival, and there's a little panel in here. It says so this is 3 panels story, which is funny. Basically, we're trying to get rid of rats. I'm not gonna read it, but yeah, nice little extra you wouldn't think you can get. So yeah, very well done. It's not very whoever buys it seems to be in this hardcover, doesn't want to let go. So
yeah,
But yeah, really nice little thing. It's the size of
makes a great point. This is near the end of his career. He was probably over 70 when he made this Rat God.
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay. And it's basically a comic size hardcover.
Yeah.
Nothing extra size wise, but yeah,
Nice.
very good.
Nice.
That's cool. Glad you liked it.
Yeah, I was as I say, I was surprised how much. Because I, like you have your preconceptions. I know you guys like it, but when you, as I say, I was to tell you, like, when you don't experience fully, I don't think I would appreciate it as much of his art as I did now, because I've completely finished it, what I read.
Yeah.
Then I want to mention this. I finally got this Lobster Johnson.
Sweet.
Already read couple. There's introduction, really nice hardcover of the Dark Horse, and it's pulp, and this is first introduction to
man.
him, and the art is fantastic. So Tony Zonchik, is that how you pronounce his name? I'm butchering his name. Tonsi Zonchik.
I don't know that artist.
Yeah.
You know him. I know somewhere. I don't know. I didn't.
I've
look
talked
it up.
about him and forgotten him.
Yeah, probably, but he definitely is around and about. But he's kind of in this throughout this omnibus, I think. It says in here it's like Joe Cuero, Kevin Nolan, Sebastian Fiorama. So one of the Fiorama brothers is here. Wilfredo Torres and Dave Stewart in colors, but mainly those Mike Mignola, John Arcudi, and Tonchik. I'm sorry, I'm butchering the name. But anyway, so this one story, it's great. Like the beginning of the story, how they introduced him, this menacing thing, or in 1930s, 40s, I think. So very pulpy, and that's exactly how I wanted. This is the next story there is to tell. And once again, you can look at the covers, like the panels. This white people pretending to be Indians and basically scalping policemen, and they basically, because of there's the Great Depression happening in America, and then there's this a lots of happening with mafiosos and stuff. Really good. It's fantastic so far, and I have just touched it, basically a couple of issues, but I am absolutely loving, because that's what I hoped this is going to be, because everybody's saying pulp, and so far it's very pulpy, and the art is throughout really nice, as you can see. Oh my god, that cover! And what
It looks really great.
And if you have BPRD collection, it's exactly in the same vein.
Oh, beautiful! Look at that! Wow,
It's as simple as that. What they are,
beefy.
Yeah, it's an omnibus. Don't forget. So highly recommend, because Dark Horse produces beautiful editions, and the binding is superb as always.
Beautiful, yeah.
And the pages, you have to kind of work it because it's fresh edition, but you have like this one, art by Wilfredo Torres. So still in the same kind of vein, they're keeping up the same kind of fashion, like almost the same as a Hellboy. But there are lots of interesting things happening in here, and I'm looking forward to tell you guys furthermore. But it's so far it's intriguing me, and I'm completely happy to get to this. So,
Is Lobster Johnson in the same universe as Hellboy?
Yes. Yeah. Also, there's a lot of extras at the back. There's a sketchbook, Burning Hand sketchbook. You have him of how he came to be. Also, that's lovely panels of the inks, and I think that's that's the main artist's work. So how he started to become to do this character. A lot, as I say, there's quite a hefty amount of extras, which is Dark Horse does really well. And also you get covers and studies, as I say, like the covers at the back, which is Mignola's cover, which if you're a fan of Mignola, it's going to be your cup of tea. So there you go. Lobster Johnson, Satan Smells Rat. Apparently there's a storyline. Great, lots of great content. So as I say, if you are a fan of Dark Horse omnibuses, especially in Mignola universe, kind of things, you should get it if you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
something. And they're not expensive.
He did a variant cover for the Shaolin Cowboy issue 1 as well too, Mignola.
Yeah, it's priced at $40 and 50.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah, and 53 Canadians for the
Yeah.
first volume.
3 Canadians.
Yeah, 53 Canadians.
Yeah.
And then the last thing. Ta-da!
Hey.
I got this. Okay, so this is absolutely fantastic.
Yay.
It is much bigger, of course, than your typical comic book or Corbin book hardcover. There you
Oh,
go.
nice.
So it's like kind of library Dark Horse edition kind of stuff. Once again, Dark Horse, beautifully done. It's
Dark Horse does good work, man.
yeah, and so this is a our James Tocco unpublished work and some of the extras, like covers for the Marvel, whatever he's working at. So one of
53
those
DaCostas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one thing, so everything is a fantastic, but there's one unpublished comic book I'm going to show you straight away because it actually grows me out. Because he's obsessed with oysters, it seems to be. Or no oysters, but this oyster man, he's called him. So, and he says, it's called The Calling. And as you can see, you see this flapping thing around between it. But then he goes into extreme. So it's how they basically make them like, oh my god, I forgot the name. How you make babies of oysters, I guess, or how they become like extras. But then
How they reproduce?
yeah, how exactly? Thank you, reproduce. So he goes very graphic in here. So, okay, I'm so sorry, but that's very graphic. So the guy is running around this thing, chasing him because he's basically urged to do sex to something to reproduce. And then you have this graphic thing here. And it's like...
There we go. Earl Grey would be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the explanation how inside everything works. So apparently this is the egg which they basically give birth to through this like long canal. And how gruesome it is for them to go through that. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, he's kind of screaming his head and it comes out from I was like, and he lies down afterwards because it's like he can't do this anymore. And it flies away with the wings.
Amazing.
And it buries itself in the ground. And that's how they reproduce themselves. So basically buries himself. And then you have them there growing inside it. So I'm sorry, I'm just trying to... What a madman. Yeah, make it. Yeah, it's up. And I was like looking. I was like, oh my God, it's going graphic. And then, and unfortunately, to his demise, he will never see his offspring because he gets killed seconds later.
Wow.
But so this is the first, like one of the things I was looking because the way he showed is so graphic and it's beautiful. I mean, I say
his stuff is gorgeous.
And his introduction, this is himself. This is how he introduces himself. How is this creature where nobody can approach him because when you approach him, he goes, escapes, and buries himself in the ground as well. And look at this, like
yeah.
He is absolutely, like we talking Darrow and stuff. He's in the same vein, man. Look at this.
He really is. Yeah.
He's
one of my favorite artists. He's so good.
And this is the beautiful thing. This is basically, you see his vanishing points where he's losing it, like the things, and it's all in pencil.
Wow.
Highly recommend it. And then you have some inks of and you can actually, some of these things he shows in here is actually quite a bit of a story. And apparently Wonton Soup is one of the things he produced in Images Comics, but he never came out with a second edition of that. And then he shows you a little bit of that as well. I really like this page, this cover. Absolutely fantastic. It kind of reminds me of a lot of things, but it just looks absolutely bonkers. And there's so much detail, like Darrow things. And then he's telling you a little bit of a story, how things happened and portrayed. Basically, it's almost like a story in this kind of artist edition describe he likes to explain insides of these characters as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like he's a bit of an obsessive, it seems to be as well. He has, because the detail of the point of detail and the color schemes he's using is absolutely fantastic. You look at that belly, that greenish and to red. It's really kind of intriguing to look at.
He's another guy with a bit of graphomania, I would say.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. Look at that. This. And it's for me showing, but actually you have that in your hand, and you can just escape in the pages as well. And thankfully to Terrence, I got hold of this for very cheap because the guy was selling on Twitter, and I decided just to go, because I didn't even research before I agreed to doing that. But knowing you guys talking about Stoker so much, and I had some examples in my head, I just decided to partake, and it definitely was a steal. Because I got
I'm
it for
glad they do some black and white in there as well too. That's nice.
So there's pencils and there's inks. So it's up to your choice how you want it to look at. But there's always
that's cool.
Yeah. So
who is Mordillo? Do you know that, Terrence?
I don't recognize the name. No.
I'm assuming it's a European artist. Larry Gonick, I think, is he the guy who did the History of the World?
Larry Gonick, I believe, was a director. If I'm the same person, unless Paulo's referencing somebody else.
Yeah, and then of course he has done some series for Dark Horse with Alien. You know, the Dead Orbit is called published by Dark Horse. So he shows you a couple of covers of those as well. Really good. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he was mentioning it in the chat. I've never seen it around anywhere.
Yeah. I bought it off the racks. I was not that excited by his Alien.
Oh, okay.
Those images look cool, but I don't know. Maybe I should go back and try it again. I really liked his Godzilla. He did a Godzilla for IDW.
That Godzilla was fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's not here, by the way, Godzilla. This is the page like that.
Oh, wow.
And you can see all the ink lines, which I absolutely love. As I'm using ink myself, I really appreciate those ink lines because you always have darker tone in here. You can see. Look at this page; it's absolutely filled to the brim, and you can see the spots of oil or something of the fingers, I guess.
Right.
So it's kind of like a nice look to that. Let me show you. I'll show you a couple of the colored pages. Look, it's marble work. So there's a 4-color. So it says in here.
James, didn't he do like a Avengers 1 million or something like that?
It's a Secret Wars Battle World #1.
Yeah. We grabbed that issue.
Look at the Galactus of his. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Dude, look online for his Galactus.
Yeah.
He did one that's, I don't know, it's probably like 4 feet tall. It's unbelievable. And again, with the detail, search for that one.
The Hulk. Also, and then all the seems to be Secret Wars Battle World. He done a lot of covers for those.
Right.
Wow.
Probably
variant covers, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and then Atlanteans as well. Look at that Medusa. That's a different take on Medusa at all. And that dog. What's forgotten the name of the dog? And then Venom, of course, and Thor once again. Finally, cover for Thor 2 by Marvel Comics 2019. Everything 2019 so far in here showed.
Hello, Tim.
Absolutely fantastic.
You got to think he'd probably, Paulo mentioned this French Argentinian cartoonist, Mordillo. Got to think that he probably was looking more at European art than your average American comics artist.
Yeah, seems to be for sure, yeah.
There's a Drax comic art that looks fantastic. He's just eating his dinner. Great looking. Then Age of what if Age of Ultron?
Yeah.
There. And then where's that? Well, and I absolutely love this because it's in watercolor, which I didn't know that he done. Which just looks so subtle from other things, but it looks great because the watercolor is just he hasn't inked it really like a lot, like we say sometimes. You don't have to use inks, and it still looks amazing from his work. Black Sat fan art.
Oh wow!
I didn't know he even have that. So he's kind of influenced a lot by the Oh yeah, Troll Hunter promotional poster. Absolutely. This book is filled to the brim from the like his things, varying covers. Black Hammer cover as well. He did.
Huh.
So yeah, a lot. I don't want to show you. I'm going to show you everything now, if honestly. So that thing just afterwards, I was like, oh my goodness, so
Yeah.
graphic, so real.
Yeah.
It's like pushing it through, like, ugh. So yeah, fantastic. Thanks
Cool.
for, like
That's
I say,
cool.
thank you for Terrence for.
Does your husband like art like this? Have you shown it to him?
No, I haven't yet, but I think he would appreciate for sure. He does like all this graphically looking busy panels as well, because I showed him
Yeah.
a lot of Mobius stuff, and he's a fan of that as well. So a lot. I tried to kind of get him. Oh, where's Terrence?
Oops. I don't know. I didn't think I did that.
You know, maybe he just had to leave, I guess. But no.
John, I'm very curious about Frank Miller working with Manara.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see. It's not two creators I imagined working together, but that makes me think maybe his whole publishing, his whole new publishing company might be doing interesting things. Yeah, Manara. Yeah, he's also going to be doing a sequel to Ronin, and there was something else he's doing. Can't remember now. But I don't know if Terrence is coming back. Maybe his wife just yanked him out of the room. I know he had to go to lunch.
Yeah, because he said he was supposed to be going. Anyway, that's okay. We'll.
I wanted to circle back, if I can find it. AFPC was recommending a podcast that covers a lot of the indie or alternative kind of artists. I can't find it now.
Oh,
what was it called?
In the chat, huh?
Oh, there it is. So it's something called Gutter Boys, a podcast he recommends. I think I may have listened once or twice.
Yeah, of Gutter.
It was a bit frat boyish, the one I listened to, I think. Or maybe I'm confusing them with someone else. But I guess if Terrence is gone and I'm out of comics, I'm trying to think of any last words. Gutter Boys, yeah, I just found it. Yeah. I think I heard them interview with the guys who did that. What was the name of it? I even talked to a comic I talked about recently, but you might have mentioned it again.
Yeah,
Manara could be the next artist for Ronin, but I think I heard that Ronin Miller's going to do the layouts, and an artist named Tan is going to do the finished art. If I got that right, I'm not positive. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not going to be here next weekend. I don't know if you and Terrence probably will do it together on his or your channel.
I know that I'm not going to be, not next weekend, but week after. I'm not going to be able to be partaking because I'll be going camping, which I'm looking forward to.
Philip Tan, yeah. So it'll be, I don't know what Philip Tan and Frank Miller working together will look like. Werewolf by lunchtime is up to breakfast time now.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
I hope we don't totally ruin his sleep cycles.
Yeah. Hopefully he's enjoying his day, fresh day.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've got a wedding to go to next weekend, so I will be out of town. I suppose it's possible I could jump in on a... No, I think we'll be on Sunday. We'll be in the car driving back. We're going to Spokane, Washington for a Saturday wedding.
Wow. So you're going to drive?
We're going to drive. We've decided Friday we're going to drive there. Sunday we're going to drive back. So it's going to be a lot of driving.
How long?
Google Maps says 5.5 hours, but that's without taking breaks. And I'm sure we will be taking breaks along the way.
Phew, that's like, wow. So you're going to wake up like bright and early, yes, to drive?
I don't know. My wife does not like to wake up bright and early. We'll see. Oh, well, Werewolf can catch up on his sleep tomorrow.
Okay, cool. That's great.
Yeah, so it was fun chatting. You've gotten Crack's Terrence's phone battery died.
Whoopsie. Happens.
Royalties for. I wonder what that. I'll have to check out that link afterwards.
Yeah.
Can't really check a link in the middle of a show.
Yeah. It's not so easy.
But anyway, we'll talk to you all again soon
Thank you.
in some formation.
Yeah.
And thanks to everyone who joined us. Lots of great commenters. I think we had up to 22 viewers at a time. So that was really cool.
Please,
So catch you all again soon.